but come on, the team in college football, Bart Two's been saying this for years. The team with the best players wins.
Yeah.
Period. It's just across the board. And as a matter of fact, I saw somebody tweet that this is the 6th straight year that the team with the most NFL draft picks will have won the title.
If Ohio State ends up with the most draft picks, and according to projections, Ohio State does appear to have.
They have 16 projected.
Yes.
Michigan last year had 13.
Yeah.
Georgia 10. Georgia 15 the year before that. Alabama 10. LSU 14. So I mean, it was a good buy low spot. I get it. There was trepidation, but come on, Ohio State, we knew that they were dangerous even getting into the tournament as like a 5 seed. They just looked so bad against Michigan that it was like, whoa.
Yeah, but you're right. All year we heard that if Ohio State puts it all together, that's the best team in the country, but we hadn't seen them put it together. Kudos to them.
They do get credit.
For putting it together and having it be this. And by the way, every team has to deal with this, but they were down 3 offensive linemen, including 2 All-Americans. Like that's a hell of a run. And I also don't like that immediately after that game that the narrative turned to, well, it was the most expensive roster in football. Okay, first off, 2 things. Get bent, number 1. Actually, 3 things. 1, get bent. Number 2, let's not act like Oregon and Texas and anyone else didn't have $20 million rosters. Okay, let's not pretend that every one of those rosters wasn't loaded with a bunch of money. And it was correctly pointed out by multiple people after that the vast majority of that budget, whatever you want to think of it, whether it was, some people say it's 17, other people say it's 22, whatever, it's $20 million. The vast majority of that was used to retain their own players. So, yes, Judkins came in, Caleb Downs. I mean, those are 2 huge guys that you went out and got. But, and then of course, Will Howard, although Will Howard was kind of an afterthought. In fact, when Will Howard signed, the benched quarterback from Kansas State, there were a lot of people that were like, really? That's where Ohio State's going, is Will Howard? And multiple times throughout the year, people said the same thing. Will Howard, boy, that's the weak link, especially after the Michigan game. So I give them credit, but when you look at guys like Mbuka and you look at Tate, you look at Jeremiah Smith, who's the best receiver in the country, you look at Jack Sawyer, you look at Tuimalo or
Tumalau.
Yeah, Tumalau. Those are all guys that Ohio State recruited. And yes, they got them to come back, and yes, they paid them, and that's the same thing that Michigan did. All of those guys from Michigan came back for 1 more year. And they got paid as everyone gets paid. So I just didn't like at the end of that there were people that were trying to do and this is the same thing people were doing with Oregon. Oh, you bought your team. Welcome to the world of football. You buy your team, and if you don't have the money, you can't retain it. But to me, that I just thought that was a really cheap, it was a cheap way to view what Ohio State did, because most of that is homegrown and spent the money to retain it.
That's what fans do to make themselves feel better, though.
Yeah.
You know that. I mean, come on. It's just a fan narrative, and it's like age old.
Yeah.
I mean, we now hate the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Well,
the Dodgers are easy to hate. I mean,
we hate all the, you win, and we try to come up with reasons why you shouldn't have, or why it's not as good as if their team had won. I mean, this is just, that's predictable. What I would say is, yes, all elites buy elite talent. That's just the way college football works. So there's no difference in Ohio State than in Texas or Oregon or, Georgia, any of them.
Yeah.
It's just that Ohio State for 1 year put it together a little better. Although you could argue that their fate changed when they got Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
What a wonderful job Chip Kelly did after the Michigan game to kind of reinvent that offense. And we'll talk more about that. There's one area, though, and we'll tee it up for next seggy, since you're launching into some hot college football talk.
Well, it was more of me avoiding the other hot talk.
The crypto presidency?
You will not get me.
Come on, man. You got to buy that coin.
I will not take the bait.
You're not getting ripped off.
I'm not taking the bait.
Why wouldn't you buy it?
I'm not taking the bait.
Yeah, baby.
Nope.
It's on, baby.
I'm going to be above it. I'm just going to be above it.
Look at you. I have one bothersome... I don't know. We call them narratives,
Yeah.
One thing about Ohio State that's been a little much for me, and it happened instantly right after the game.
Oh, I think I know where you're going.
It's a little much.
I think I know where you're going.
We'll start there
All right.
when we come back. And we've got to look ahead to the whole NFL weekend. We weren't even here yesterday.
My Lions.
My
Lions.
The NFL Weekend Wonder Bread, we're going to call it. We've got a lot to cover today, so thanks for being with us. We'll start next on The Fan.
Yeah. Chip Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
On 1080 The Fan.
All right. Buckley going with nothing but a G thing here. Because I'm a G. I'm about to break it down.
Obviously.
Don't encourage him after the weird Gucci Mane thing. We don't need Rob to be encouraged.
Oh, he missed that.
I was not here for said Gucci Mane thing. I would like to know
Gucci
about
Mane?
this.
Yeah,
though.
don't. We need just steer clear of hip hop.
Hey.
Rob needs like about a week of like decompressing from the hip
From
hop
what?
thing.
Did you guys see my first Red Note post? It was fire.
I did not. Are you on there now because TikTok is gone? Oh, wait, no, it's not.
And it makes me sad.
Wait, it's not gone?
Nah, it's back.
Oh, do I have to get back on there now?
It was gone for like 8 seconds.
He king of the crypto presidency talk. You don't know what's going on with the TikTok ban?
Stop!
What's going on?
I can't.
Can I
It's
get-
back. He saved TikTok.
Can I get Trump going on there?
I would rather
Probably.
talk about the TGL right now, and that's saying something.
You're right. Good call. It is TGL Tuesday,
I'm
ladies
just
and
gonna
gentlemen.
put my head in an oven. At
We
this
are
point.
here for you. Ricky Fowler and Team New York.
Ricky Fowler, by the way, well down the road to middle-aged lesbianism.
He's looking to get back on track.
He's looking to become the next Dana Carvey, and quite frankly, it's impressive.
No, okay. So Ohio State wins, and take nothing away from them. It was extraordinary. They look good. I have a hot take that if they play Notre Dame 10 times, Ohio State wins 11 of them.
Yes.
They were just better.
Yeah.
The championship game ultimately ended up being Texas Ohio State.
Yeah.
That was the title game.
Yes.
And were it not for some wonky play calling on the goal line and a fumble scoop and score, who knows what happens in that game? That game was about to be tied.
Yeah, it was.
With 8 or 9, 7. Well, no, it was less. It was like 3 or 4 minutes left.
I think it was less. I think it was like 2 minutes. And
So-
Sawyer had the strip sack.
If Texas wins that, they probably win the title. But again, they didn't. Ohio State just made the plays. It's a great team. And honestly, I don't find them unlikable. Ryan Day is a little odd, but I don't find him unlikable.
No, I thought afterwards too they did a nice job of kind of letting in behind the scenes a little bit. Some of the people. I feel like Ryan Day. I mean, they do this all the time, but by all accounts, Ryan Day is a well-liked guy in the college football world,
Yeah.
and he takes a lot of heat. And this is the one thing outside of the Lou Holtz thing, where obviously he got all high tea and started a feud with Lou Holtz. I do think Ryan Day, for the most part, kind of takes the high road in the whole thing. And we talked about it. It does seem ridiculous that guy who all he does is win 10 and 11 games every year constantly feels like we're looking for a reason for his job to be in jeopardy. And Ohio State and everyone else will listen and be like, it's not. That's not a thing. And so, yeah, I thought it was nice that he kind of got to put that to rest. And you saw some of the players like Jack Sawyer afterwards and Will Howard talked about kind of the culture and what he's built there. And I found that to
great
be
coach.
It was a decent story. And the same thing with Marcus Freeman on the other side.
Yeah, great coach, Ryan Day. And I too am happy for him that he gets to, shut the haters up,
Yeah.
because there were a lot of them. But, you got to beat your rival.
Yeah.
When you're at Ohio State, dude, there is only one thing that matters, and that is beat Michigan. And he hasn't done it in like 4 tries, I
think that's 4 in a row. Just like, Jim Harbaugh battled that.
I know.
Harbaugh had to take a pay cut and make all these changes.
That's
and
just
then,
the way
and
it
then
is.
He got over the hump.
And that leads me to the one thing that I think we're overdoing by a lot, and the media is lapping this up. But this started right after the game. A lot of it was Ryan Day himself being just kind of open and honest. And some of it was freaking Herb Street, who suddenly has become the most insufferable guy in college football.
Yeah.
They totally are overdoing this idea that Ohio State was just so far down and no one has ever gotten up off the mat like this. I know it was rough after they lost to Michigan, but they act like they're the first team that ever took a tough loss and then came back to win it all with, by the way, the best talent in the country. Ohio State trying to be the plucky underdog, like no one believed it. What a great story. It's quite rich. And look, the media's lapping it up, and I'm not following. Come on, dude.
It reminded me of the Tim Tebow, crying, we're never going to lose again.
Celebrate them. They're great.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm happy for Ryan Day. I don't find them an unlikable team. I thought they were really fun to watch. I think the world of Chip Kelly, and I love that he got a ring. All of it's great. But boy, did they overdo God, how far down we were. They went, I think Herb Street said they went to the depths of hell. okay,
And only-
how does anybody ever recover
and
from
God
that?
and faith were the only thing that brought
Yeah,
him out.
it's just
And,
like- it
and,
was-
you know, and then you had Herbsteit crying, and he tried to explain that there was more to that than meets the eye. But yeah, he's on there crying, and I'm with you. Like,
Dude.
we love narratives. Hey, did you know that Jerome Bettis was from Detroit? And did you know that Marcus Freeman
Hey.
was a black guy coaching?
Bettis was out there last night. You see him?
I didn't see Bettis.
Coin toss.
Yeah, I missed it.
He was out there with Notre Dame.
No, I missed the coin toss. I didn't see it.
Those are his boys.
To be honest with you, the start of the game kind of snuck up on me. I was kind of farting around, and all of a sudden I was like, oh crap! Like, yeah, the game started.
Well, they say 4:30, but it never. It's always
No.
like 4:50.
Yeah,
and that drives me nuts.
Yeah,
but
but
now I know it, and
Yeah.
so then I don't tune in until 4:45.
yeah. Just it snuck up on me. So I like when I turned it on, they were kicking the ball off. I was like, oh, and then I watched Riley Leonard. I literally watched that first drive, and I had two thoughts. First off, holy cow, they just bullied their way down the field against Ohio State. And then I also said, they can't do that again or Riley Leonard will die. You can't run the ball 9 times as a quarterback. He's on pace to run the ball for 72 carries.
That was great, though. I mean,
it was a great plan.
It was like 10 minutes long.
Yep.
And it was basically just them ramming their quarterback's head into one of the better defenses in the country for 10 minutes. Like, what could go wrong? What a strategy. But it worked.
Yeah, someone after the game, I loved it. Someone after the game had to ask Marcus Freeman, and Freeman's answer was awesome. They were like, why did you stop all the quarterback runs? And Freeman goes, well, like, we know it's not sustainable of him to run the ball 50 times a game.
He was
like,
gassed.
Yeah, Freeman was like, yeah, it's like you try to be judicious about doing that, but like, I just love that was like the James Franklin. No, you're making me uncomfortable. Yeah, why don't you just run your quarterback 62 times? That seemed to be working.
No, you're making me uncomfortable.
Well,
And I'll give him credit too, because I am not a big Riley Leonard guy. I find him to be just way too much for me. But that's a kid that does not throw the ball very well, and they had every reason down 31. Was it 31-7 or 31-3?
31-7.
Yeah, 31-7. Yeah, 31-7. To just roll over and die. And that guy threw a couple big balls there in the second half that.
You know what they are? Plucky.
Plucky.
Dude, that team, come on. That was fun for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And you go, oh my God, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You know, this is how you control the game.
Yeah.
You do that. What a message.
Yeah.
And they got all the momentum until Ohio State got the ball
Yeah. And then you're like, oh,
for the first time. And then it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
But, credit Notre Dame for battling back and,
Yeah. And
making
I
it somewhat of a game.
Well, I do think Ohio State, we've talked about this. When you get up 31-7 and you're rolling like that, it's really hard to stay on the edge, like the razor's edge. Like you start loosening the shoulder pads and you start taking off some of the finger tape and, you kind of start looking for the pretty girls on the sideline. And before you know it, you're like, oh crap, we're back in this. Flipping that switch to kind of get back into, hey, we've got a real game is really, really hard to do. And I had that brief moment where I was like, oh my God, is Ohio State just, are they letting this slip through the fingers? Because before the Jeremiah Smith ball, so it was an 8-point lead. Ohio State gets the ball back and they run again into a 9-man front. Ohio State has 9 guys in the box and Ohio State runs twice right into the teeth of it. And I'm like, oh my God, they're about to pull a Michigan. I'm like, they're going to boot this thing away because they are being so damn conservative that they refuse to do what they've done all game long that cannot be stopped. And I don't know if it was Chip Kelly, if it was Ryan Day, or if it was Will Howard that made the decision, but that's big balls, iron balls McGinty stuff on whatever it was, 3rd and whatever, to then throw a 45-yard go ball.
It's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11.
3rd and 11. And you decide, what the hell? You're giving me one-on-one? Cool. And he puts it right in the honey pot. That's a big-time throw. Game over. Thanks for coming.
All right, we'll wrap up the college football championship game and the season coming up next, and we'll move into our NFL Weekend Wonder Bread. Here's Buck.
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on the Fan on the hardwood tonight. The Blazers back in action as they visit the Miami Heat in South Beach. Donovan Clingan, Ryan Rupert, and Matisse Thybulle all out. Anthony Simons, Robert Williams, Tumani Kamara, and Chris Murray are all questionable. Tip-off is at 4:30. The Blazers are 10-point road dogs. The Ohio State Buckeyes are college football's national champions, and now they're the favorite to win it again next season at 4.5 to 1 odds. Texas and Oregon are plus 650, followed by Georgia, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Alabama in that order. In the NFL, the Chicago Bears introduce former Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their new head coach today. Elsewhere in the NFC North, the Vikings and head coach Kevin O'Connell have agreed to a multi-year contract extension. On the college hardwood tonight, the Oregon Ducks hosting Big Ten rival Washington at Matthew Knight Arena. Tip-off for that one is at 8 o'clock. Pre-game coverage starts right here on The Fan at 7:30. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Did you score a smart speaker over the holidays?
little bit of sporting breaking news.
Sports.
We have 3 new Hall of Fame inductees.
Yeah, we got CC Sabathia, old Billy Wagner, and the warrior, the greatness that is Ichiro Suzuki, who, by the way, much like Derek Jeter, one shy of the perfect ballot. Oh, the only person to ever be perfect is Mariano Rivera, and Derek Jeter and Ichiro both went 1 vote shy. Ichiro went 393 of 394.
Well, they say if Ichiro came over earlier, he'd have close to Pete Rose level of hits.
Well, he'd be technically, if you add his Japan stats, he is the hit king. And yeah, people say had he just been here from the beginning, he would have been the hit king.
Well, he's not.
No, he's not. Well, technically, you know.
That belongs to the deceased.
Yeah, but I hate Pete Rose and I don't hate Ichiro, so.
You hated.
I hate it.
He died.
That's true.
He's gone.
And hate's a strong word. Dude, Pete Rose was a douche. How about
He was a
that?
bad guy.
He was.
Pretty obvious.
And Ichiro does not seem
But
that way.
yeah, Ichiro, that's great. We should get your brother on to talk about how overrated he was. But
Don't think
he's
that's
going
happening.
in. CC Sabathia and Billy Wagner's the guy who was righty and then he switched to lefty as a pitcher.
Yeah.
And he pitched both.
Yep.
He was amazing.
Yeah, I just don't know if people have he's one of those guys that probably doesn't get appreciated. If you're a casual baseball fan, there's a lot of like Billy Wagner.
He was lights out.
Yes, he was.
So anyway, back to the college football season. It was kind of weird that we played 8 or whatever NFL playoff games and then circled back to the college game. I thought that was weird.
Yeah, the college game, you know,
felt
if there's one thing they can do, I don't care, you know, there's lots of tweaks, but it would be nice if it wrapped up a little sooner and then you weren't running into the NFL. It
felt strange.
It was a little weird. I've always thought Monday night is weird, but it's been on Monday night forever. I just don't think it's hard to follow the NFL and when you have these gaps. If there's one thing college football should do is just kind of push everything up and try to be done either on New Year's or the week after New Year's and finish the thing up. We don't need these big gaps, and that'll take care of some of the, you know, whining and moaning about the long layoff. You don't need several weeks in order to do this.
Well, there ended up being one upset out of all of the college football playoff games.
Yeah, just the one, huh?
One.
Yeah. Well, it goes to show you. I mean,
you know which one that is?
Arizona State, right?
They didn't win.
They didn't win a game?
No. They got a bye.
They got a bye.
Oh, they got a bye. Yeah, now I'm trying to think of who
0-1 in the playoffs. Kenny Dillingham. Ofer.
I'm trying to think of who would Notre Dame, Georgia.
Yeah. That was the one upset.
Yeah.
And the favorites were also 9-2 against the spread.
Yeah.
So if you were just going chalk all the way, you made some money.
Well, they've always said that the least parity in any sport is college football.
No question.
But at the same time, you know, some of those games were nip and tuck.
Well, one of them was.
Well, I mean, say what you will. Boise State, Penn State. Boise State was going in to make that a 3-point game when you had the penalty, and then it got away from Ohio State. But that was not a blowout. Georgia Notre Dame certainly wasn't a blowout till the end. That was a close game. What else did we have? Texas and Arizona State was 4th and 13, and Arizona State wins that game. Texas and Ohio State, as you mentioned. Texas is driving down with 2 minutes to go, and then you had the strip sack. So, you know, while some of those games certainly lacked the coming down to the wire, I can't say that those games were uninteresting. I can't say that those games were a foregone conclusion.
No. I just think that the theme of, you know, the least parity, as they expand this tournament, and they're going to expand it again.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have another round.
Sure.
Or at least more teams playing in that first round.
Mm-hmm.
The more games you get, the more it's just late season, banged up, attrition, colder weather. The better, the teams with the better players, even if they don't have the elite coach, they're going to win.
Probably.
And if you just blindly bet that, just this year, as Buck said, you're 9-2 against the spread.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that trend will continue. Even it doesn't mean there aren't good games, doesn't mean there aren't upsets, it doesn't mean anything should change. It's just the way it is.
I do enjoy, though, that with the transfer portal now, I do think you have some stuff that's spread out a little bit. Every team is going to suffer attrition. You no longer stack up 4- and 5-star kids that are just sitting there. Injuries do become a bigger deal. You have to reload your roster every year. So Yeah, I mean, Ohio State won, and Ohio State had the most talented roster, but I some of the SEC's dominance slipping away. The fact that you saw, Penn State get about as close as you can get to this. The fact that Notre Dame beat Georgia. And I know for a Notre Dame fan, I don't know if that gives you any sort of solace because, I mean, Notre Dame has been here over the last 30 years. It's not like Notre Dame's been irrelevant, but when Notre Dame has played these sorts of games, they get embarrassed. I mean, they get drilled. And they beat Georgia 23-10. And I know you got embarrassed by Ohio State early, but you ended up accounting for yourself very well in that national title game. And I don't know if we could have said that 5 or even 4 or 5 years ago before NIL and before the portal. So I do think that as we get into this, look, you're always going to have Ohio State. You're always going to have the Georgias, the Bamas, the Oregon that can pay their way into this. But I do think that you are going to see some watering down of it just being the same 3 or 4 teams. I do believe that.
Well, I would think maybe what you're saying is like there is a case to be made for everything falling right for a Ole Miss.
Yes.
1 year.
Yes.
Or Oregon even.
Yeah.
Oregon almost had that this year. I mean, Oregon does not, as good as they have been, they do not have quite the level of players as the Texases and the Ohio States.
No.
But this 1 year, because of the portal and the elite quarterback, you and some guys that stuck around, you had that kind of crescendo team.
Yep.
And of course,
you ran into a buzzsaw.
You did, but that you had that, and there is that. You couldn't have that before.
No, and if
so
Oregon
Lane Kiffin, for example, next year, I don't think this happens even in Indiana. Like you saw Indiana try to do it.
That's too big.
But they aren't winning a championship. They just had a really nice year through the portal.
Yeah.
But so there's still an elite level of team that is only capable of doing this. But like an Ole Miss, I think is one that's not a traditional power. But with Kiffin, if everything falls right, you get the right quarterback, you get the right spots on your roster filled with the portal, and then some young freshmen that pop or whatever, or some guys that stick around, you can win one.
Well, how about this?
Out of nowhere.
Like, how about Penn State, right? Penn State, both of their backs are coming back. Warren's gone. Aller's coming back. This is one, let's say even this year, right? Ty Warren came back, your 2 backs came back, Aller popped a little bit, right? What if Penn State, Jeremiah Smith, who ends up going to Ohio State, I think he was a Florida kid, and I think he was flirting with Florida or Florida State, and Ohio State managed to pull him away, right? If you take Jeremiah Smith and you put him with Penn State could win a national title this year, like this year, right? Like 1 or 2.
You mean this upcoming year?
No. This last year.
This last season. But now they're losing too many guys.
And now they're losing too many guys. But you said this is 2 years in a row now with Michigan and Ohio State that you have had 5 or 6 kids stick around that should have gone to the NFL that came back to say, no, we're going to give this one more crack. And yes, Ohio State and Michigan are definitely teams that can do that. But, teams like Penn State, teams like Notre Dame, you mentioned Ole Miss, absolutely Ole Miss, a team like that. Tennessee, right? Some teams that do have the wherewithal to do this. Maybe SMU could fall into this category with the right amount of guys coming back and adding 1 or 2 pieces, like with Judkins and Caleb Downs coming into Ohio State. And then you land a hammer freshman like Jeremiah Smith. And next thing you know, like you said, for 1 year, I don't know if Michigan will ever get back, but that squad that they put together, that's a really special unit. And so I do think that opens itself up in this playoff format to those sorts of teams, and you can even stub your toe a couple times over the course of the year and still be there because, as I said, under the old system, this Ohio State team that no one can argue is not the best team in college football wouldn't have even been allowed to play for a chance to win a national championship. So I just think the playoff system is so much better than anything we've had. Is it perfect? No. Is it going to continue better? Yes. And do I think it opens up more possibilities than there used to be? Absolutely.
All right, well, that's it for college football. Season's over. Now we wait till August.
And Oregon supposedly, did you see any of the All-American game? Is it they call him Dak, but it's like
Decorian Moore.
Decorian Moore. Some of the plays that dude was making in that All-American game,
Insane stuff.
he's the number one non-quarterback, I guess, recruit
What
in the
position?
country. He's
Wide
a wide
receiver.
receiver. And like people are saying, like that's the sort of kid, and then the Trey McNutt, the safety that was an Ohio State kid, like that's the one or two guys that if you get, that can take a good team to great. That sort of gravitational player. So just something to keep an eye on because
Start the hype train,
Ohio
baby.
State doesn't get here without that true freshman on the outside for them.
Probably our last Lee Corso, don't you think?
I would hope so.
Think it's over?
I just please.
Any way we see him ever again?
I hope not. And I hope he enjoys it. He's earned it. Enjoy your retirement and just go hang out with Lou Holtz.
He's worse than Biden up there.
It's bad. It's really bad.
Rest in peace.
It's not
I'm going to
dead.
do a preemptive.
It's not dead yet.
Yeah, it'll be soon.
Oh, I guarantee ESPN already has the obituary.
We're going to have to see Herb Street cry again.
Well,
That guy.
I understand why he cried and he explained it, but it's
He is so insufferable all of a sudden.
Well-
Where did that come from? He's always been Mr.
He used to be like Mr. College football.
Yes.
yeah.
Now
Can we stop with his kids play? They don't play. His kids
play what?
No.
I don't even know this narrative. What's
well,
this?
His kid was he made it like his kid was on Ohio State. No, he wasn't.
One of his kids walked on, right? And then
They
had a heart
all-
issue.
Every one of his kids has walked on.
But his
Clemson,
youngest is
and
at
then
Michigan
transferred
now.
to Ohio State, and one walked on. And
What? Herb Street has a kid at Michigan?
Yeah,
He just committed to Michigan. I think he's a quarterback, isn't he?
they all of
Boys
his
ass.
kids are walk-ons, and then we
The
have to make
hell?
a big deal about how it's no, dude. You just
Like
Your last-
poor man's Bronny James stuff.
yeah, exactly.
We
Just-
need a new Herb Street. Who's
tone
our
it
new
down.
Herb Street?
I don't know, but it's his. He's a lot. But his wife's battling cancer. His kid was having heart problems. His dog died. So he said it all came out.
Greg McElroy, maybe?
Yeah,
See our
maybe
new Herb
McElroy.
Street?
Yeah,
He's a little too vanilla.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Herb
Well,
Street
so
is
was
too. I
Herb
mean,
Street.
it's just
Herb
hard.
Street
It's
until-
just hard, and I understand why you cried, and you're an emotional guy. But it's hard to stand up there and say that you're impartial, and then you're in tears because the team won the national
Well, yeah.
championship. But
All right, let's get to our NFL Weekend Wonder Bread coming up next on The Fan.
A long season gets long.
There's our favorite song. What a great line in a song. What
What an idiot.
do you think about that?
I love it.
It's kind of
Yeah.
douchey.
I love it.
I'm gonna start making music like that. Think
Hey,
I'll
look,
make it big?
If LeAngelo Ball can become the next great hip hop star,
Yeah.
you can.
That's
too.
true.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
If that
That
dude, if that dude can just be like, "Hey, I can't play basketball, so I'm just going to be a hip hop star." What's
Well,
to
and
stop
look at the
any of us?
return of our crypto president.
Yeah,
He's back.
he's back, and he's now worth a couple extra $1 billion.
It's called rain. Comes down from heaven.
Goes drip.
He loves cows.
It goes drip, drip, drip. The windmills are driving the whales crazy.
Please stop.
Well, we like snow games, right?
Yeah,
Two snow games.
yeah.
I mean, kind of.
Here's my. I don't mind the snow game, and it's kind of a. This is kind of a soft take on my part,
Ooh.
but I've seen some other people have it too, and while the visuals of it are good, Kurt Warner went a bit far with this, and I don't like to agree with anything that Kurt Warner has to say. But
Why not?
uh,
Is he not? Is he your Herb Street?
he's a bit much. He's a bit much for me.
Really?
But I
I don't get a lot of his analysis. Where is he?
he's around.
NFL Network?
Yeah, he's an NFL Network guy, and I just see his stuff, and I think he has good analysis, and I enjoy people that do good X's and O stuff.
He's a
I
big
just-
national radio guy too. He
Yeah.
does it
Is
with
he?
a call with Kevin Harlan, I think.
But he brought up a point, and he said, two things about the weather game. And the first part I didn't agree with at all. And he said that the bad part about weather is I can't, as a dome team, I can't prepare for your environment. Right? Like that is just, there's nothing I can do. If I'm in Florida or I'm a dome team, I cannot recreate your conditions.
Can't they go down there early?
Not really. I mean, you only, you can go an extra day or two, but no, you really can't. So that part I was like, I see where you're coming with that, but that's part of home field advantage, and you build your team about, like when you play on turf, right? You can build the greatest show on turf, and you sling it around a little bit. If you play in the NFC North, you better have a run game, and you better play some defense, because in December it's going to be rough. But I understand where he's coming with that. But this is where I kind of bought into it. I don't like to see weather determine a game, and when you do have horrible conditions, and you can't start and stop. You can't, as a DB or a receiver, put your foot in the ground. As an old lineman, when you can't anchor a bull rush. When you're a tight end and you drop a 2-point conversion because your feet are slipping out from you and the ball is slick as snot. That's where I don't love the wintry snow conditions, because it plays an unusual it has an unusual impact on the game. And that aspect of it, I don't love. But both teams have to play in it. Mark Andrews still has to make that grab. That's the part of me when I watch snow games where it's really sloppy and guys can't move. It's like when there's a bad field, right? And guys are slipping all over the place. Yes, both teams have to play on it, but that's an unfair. It's just it's not right that should have the impact it does on a game.
Yeah, I don't know about right. I get what you're saying and what Kurt Warner's saying. You don't like that it's not going to be your typical characterization of two teams, right?
Yes.
It's like you want to see these two teams play
At their best.
And well, it's not always going to be perfect, but you don't want something to take that away, and to be a who adapts the best,
Yeah.
not which is the best team.
Yes.
That's what you don't want.
Yes.
And that is what you get in these snow games. Although I thought the Rams did a pretty good job. Well, they turned it over twice in the end. But they still almost came back and won.
Yeah.
And that's a dome team in a cold weather environment. And
Yeah.
I thought Baltimore, I mean, they drove right down the field, so it didn't hurt them that much. They said one key drop.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I see where he's coming from. I tend to look, I don't want that in my Super Bowl.
Yes.
I'll tell you that.
And I think that's Warner's point, is that we would never play.
That's right.
We would never want a Super Bowl or a national championship to be played in those conditions. Then why do we want it to be played in a playoff
Well,
or a divisional championship
we don't
game?
necessarily want it, but we like home teams,
Yeah.
or we like games all the way up to the Super Bowl being at the home field
Yeah.
of the team, right?
And part of that is bad
we like
weather.
that, and that's right. That's
Yeah.
going to come with it. It's just, again, it's never going to be perfect,
No.
and it certainly changes the game. But I've always been one on things like that where it's like, as I'm just looking at it more from a fan perspective. I get what Kurt Warner is saying in terms of preparing. That's actually a really good point. But from a fan perspective, it's hella entertaining.
Yeah.
And it's totally like,
From a visual standpoint, it's about as good as it gets.
well, it's just, you don't know what's going to happen.
No.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's
It
the
adds
best
variance to it.
Yeah, the best player or the worst player, either of them could fumble the ball easily, and it's like, pucker. Like,
And some of them did.
And it makes for to me it makes it fun because you really it like levels the playing field, and I love it. Like, for entertainment, like, that was really freaking entertaining because Williams probably doesn't drop that ball normally.
Williams.
The Rams running back.
Oh,
he fumbled.
I thought you were talking about the Mark Andrews.
And then Stafford.
Yep.
Well, the Baltimore game, it was cold and a little snowy, but the
Rams
real
game,
snow game was the Eagles-Rams.
Yeah.
And it really did cost the Rams because they had the 2 turnovers on back-to-back possessions. That was a 16-15 game.
Well,
Before that.
The Rams were the better team in that game, minus like 5 plays, and 2 or 3 of those were because of the weather. And then
they just
Saquon Barkley being Saquon Barkley.
But both teams have to hold on to the ball in it, and the Eagles did a better job of that. Now, you could argue that that's because they play there more often, and that I'd listen to, but at the same time...
And that was Warner's point. He goes, there's just, in any other way, I can prepare, but I cannot prepare myself for that weather, and that's an unfair advantage. But then people are going to say,
I get it.
Win more games.
I get it.
And you get to play at your
that's
place.
right. Don't go on the road.
Yeah.
You know how you don't go on the road in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Take care of your business.
But like Miami having to go on the road and play in whatever that was, 7 degrees last year in Kansas City.
That's rough on them, but at the same time, I think that it's part of the game, and you need to find a way to be better in bad weather.
Absolutely.
You know it's a thing.
Yep.
Fix it.
Yeah.
As best you can. Like, I mean, I don't know.
I think his point is there's just, and this is why I said
There
I
is,
don't go all the way with it, but I understand his point that there is no fix. When you're in Miami, you cannot get ready for Kansas City in January. You cannot.
Well, like I say, get there on Wednesday. Well, I'm not kidding. Get there, go early. You got to get you guys out in the elements.
There's no place to practice. There's no way to set up. It's just it's.
You can practice at high
It's kind of like
schools.
saying when someone goes to play basketball in Denver, we'll just like show up early to get acclimated to the elevation.
Yeah,
like
there just
living
isn't-
there makes it different.
There isn't. The only way to do it is you better be better in the regular season if you're in Miami, because you do not want to go on the road and have to play in Kansas City. Because if you do, thanks for coming.
Well, basketball, you only travel. I mean, you're traveling too much.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really go early. Football, you got a week.
Yeah.
So you could get there a day or two early. But again, you got to set up a place to practice. I don't know.
And does a day or two in those conditions do anything for
Does
you?
it? Yeah, I don't
Who
know.
knows?
I mean, I think that I would imagine practicing catching the football in those conditions,
And
whether it's one day or an hour,
Yeah.
would help you. Like, but that's why, you have pregame warm-ups
Yeah.
and,
And people, like, in practice, when you get ready to play cold weather, you dunk balls in water and, you try your best.
it's just hard to catch the ball.
It's just, the ball, it's hard to
Unless you're
simulate a
Puka
ball
Nacua.
being an absolute rock. People don't realize how, and from the Mark Andrews thing to Williams fumbling, people don't know. And if you've never played, when it gets cold like that, the ball literally becomes a rock, and it is slick
yeah.
as all get out.
You can tell, and obviously they say that. I mean, it's hard, but guys do it, and some guys don't, and it's like, well, okay, how did this guy do it and you didn't?
Yeah,
it's just, and I don't think that's just random.
No.
It's not just variance.
No, it's not the only reason. It's just that
like Nacua, it stuck to he one hand catch on his shoulder in a snowstorm.
It's just that, and we'll go back to all these different games, but I mean, because we'll talk about Jalen Carter saved the Philadelphia season. That play he had at the end, I mean, that's a walk-in touchdown for the Rams. But for Mark Andrews, I as good as Mark Andrews is, that may be the most haunting game that I've ever seen from a player. That's Bill Buckner level.
The fumble was just as bad.
Well, and before that, he had the play before the Lamar Jackson fumble. That was like second whatever when he fumbled the ball. Mark Andrews had it hit him between the 8 and 9, and he dropped it.
Yeah, it would have been a first down.
It would, and then obviously that wouldn't have happened. So I mean, for Mark Andrews to have those 3 plays, and everyone said the right things, and it's not Mark Andrews' fault, but oh my God, Mark Andrews is a really, really good football player, and that will haunt him forever.
All right, let's continue our NFL Weekend Wonder Bread coming up next on The Fan.
Brian Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on the Fan, some breaking news in Major League Baseball as Ichiro Suzuki has been voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. On the hardwood tonight, the Blazers back in action as they visit the Miami Heat down in South Beach. That one tipping off in just about a half an hour. Donovan Clingan, Ryan Rupert, Matisse Thybulle all out for Portland. Anthony Simons, Robert Williams, Tumani Kamara, and Chris Murray are all questionable. The Blazers are 10-point road dogs. The Ohio State Buckeyes, college football's national champions, and now they're the favorite to win it all again next season at 4.5 to 1 odds. Texas and Oregon are both plus 650, followed by Georgia, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Alabama in that order. In the NFL, the Chicago Bears introduced former Lions OC Ben Johnson as their new head coach today. Elsewhere in the NFC North, the Vikings and head coach Kevin O'Connell have agreed to a multi-year contract extension. On the college hardwood tonight, the Oregon Ducks host Big Ten rival Washington at Matthew Knight Arena. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock. Pre-game coverage starts right here on The Fan at 7:30. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Did you score a smart speaker over the holidays? Just ask it to play 1080 The Fan. Primetime on Conference Championship Week.
There goes Buckley into the clear, through the snow, all the way home.
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design, a trusted local architectural design studio ready to bring your dream home to life. Visit smartlinehomedesign.com.
Isaac and Sue on 1080.
And this one might send them to the championship game.
The Fan.
All right, welcome back. Nice to have you along. Dipping into some NFL stuff here, but we're going to have to put that on pause because TGL Tuesday has begun.
What's the big matchup? Oh, God, it's on my TV.
Yep, there it is right there.
I need it. There's got to be hockey on right now.
You want to
right?
know what the big matchup is? Thanks for asking. It's Ricky Fowler, Matthew Fitzpatrick, and Cam Young
Yeah, the New York Golf Club somehow.
Well, I got the
against
New York.
Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, and
I can't believe
who's the other guy in there?
No one's really watching.
Billy
this,
Horschel.
are they?
Horschel.
Like, do we know the ratings for this thing?
And how about the Atlanta Drive? What a great idea of a name with the
Drive.
See what they did there with the
Atlanta
drive?
Because you drive the ball.
Yeah.
I got Red Wings and Flyers starting right now, so I'm out.
So the betting angle here. No, I'm just kidding.
Seriously,
Although we did discuss that.
do we know?
No, we've
if-
discussed that.
Is anyone watching this, or is it just
I
crickets?
don't know. I have no idea.
It has to be crickets.
I would
Tiger
say
was on it.
probably not.
I would imagine I think golf fans are maybe checking it out and then going, ugh. And then,
I like that is the sound that you should make if you decide to tune into
Well,
that.
golf
is,
fans barely watch golf events, so I don't think they're watching much of this.
Tiger was on there last week.
Yeah,
He's usually a ratings boost.
I don't think so. I don't think this is the same Tiger. The key would have been had Tiger like 1999 Tiger been in this, would anyone watch?
Now that'd be cool. You could do like hologram Tiger.
Yeah, if you could somehow do an AI younger Tiger, then maybe I would tune in. But yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, what if you pitted like young Tiger against peak Nicholas?
See, now we're talking.
Hologram.
There you go.
Come on.
That might
Not
be
Billy Horschel or Matthew
No.
Fitzpatrick.
no offense.
Current day.
You're telling me I get to tune into ESPN and watch Billy Horschel play on a
That's right.
simulator? Oh
That's
my
right.
God!
The great.
Where do I sign up?
All right, tough choice for you. Watch the TGL or watch the Portland Trailblazers
Oh yeah,
because they're on at 4:30.
They play the Heat.
What did I just say? I got Red Wings Flyers. I'm good.
Hey, listen.
I'm good.
Buck will have NBA on. I'll have golf on. You'll have hockey on.
We got it all
We're
covered.
staying in our lane.
Hey, don't look now, but old Scoot Henderson putting together a couple good games in a row.
I won't look now. Thank you.
You probably shouldn't. I'm just, I keep a loose eye, and I mean a loose eye, on what's going on over there. And
Go to that
Scoot
lake.
Well,
playing well.
I got to tell you, man. Back to Mark Andrews.
Tell me.
He's always had a case of the dropsies, but he does not fumble. They said he hasn't fumbled a ball since 2019.
No.
And that one got, totally punched out. It was a nice play.
And by the way, that has become a really fun thing to watch in the NFL. Guys, the old punch out is a real thing now. That wasn't like, oh, he put his hand there by accident. Dudes
They're great at
They're
it.
going for that.
Yeah. Buckley and I talked about this over the holidays while you were gone, and we were talking about how many fumbles we would have with the new age punch out.
Yeah.
I don't know how those guys hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
But they do.
Yeah, but when you get a guy that punches it like that, it's really hard, especially in those conditions. That ball came shooting out.
Mark Andrews, got to be feeling terrible. Somebody did point out, we were talking about cold weather. Somebody did point out, Mark Andrews played a lot in cold weather. He's from Baltimore.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. Is that an excuse? I don't know. It was just I don't know. It must be really hard to catch the football. This is not even a weather statement. Even the guys who get paid a lot of money to catch the football fail miserably at it.
Yeah.
It's like, it kind of drives me. I tell you what, I got to be in my bonnet about this. It drives me nuts. It's particularly the diva wide receivers.
Yeah.
Now, when you see Mark Andrews drop a ball, and like I said, he's always had pretty high drop numbers. But when you see like, I know what it was. It was Amon-Ra St. Brown. It was, I forget who was calling that game. Might have been Brady. He said he reminded him a lot of Hines Ward. And I was like, yes, that's the guy I want. I want that guy. Yeah. I will take that guy who has stickum on his hands every time over
the flashy.
Yes, the CeeDee Lamb, the ability of even AJ Brown looks to me like, dude, hold on to the effing football. Yeah. And I get it, it's cold, but guys do it. Yeah. Nakua does it. Amon-Ra St. Brown does it.
By the way, how about that one? Speaking of Puka Nakua, and I know it didn't end the way they wanted to,
Great
but
catch.
that ball down the sideline to Puka to get him in position in the weather, oh my goodness.
When they hit that, I thought they were going to win.
I did too.
I thought that was it.
Have you seen the play where Jalen Carter ends it? He calls game. Have you seen, I think it's Higbee, I'm not certain. Have you seen the tight end? If Jalen Carter, which by the way, let me start on this. How on earth do the center and right guard just leave Jalen Carter alone? I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's just a blown assignment where both guys leave him and you're like, oh my God, you might want to block the best defensive tackle in football. But if Jalen Carter gets blocked there, even if they just get in his way, they whisper in his ear, they tell him a story. The Rams have a tight end going across the middle, wide open, right in the line of Stafford's sight. That is a touchdown walk-off. Thanks for coming. The Eagles season is over. And Jalen Carter called game on it. That's
big time players do that.
Yeah. Like every now and then you get like whether it's the Chris Jones or Aaron Donalds or like Von Miller's
Verse.
Yeah, Verse is going to have that.
Dude,
like that dude is.
He almost did.
And when you get these sorts of guys, like I always say that sometimes like sack numbers are the most overinflated stat and we make way too much of it. But every now and then having a guy at the end of a game that can just close out games, it's like having a Mariano Rivera. And when they needed him most, Jalen Carter just was like, no, this game is over. And without that rush, I'm telling you, go back and look at it. There's a tight end coming from the top of the screen in that weather condition, and the Philly DB cannot hang with him. He is running. He would still be running across the middle right now. That is a walk-in touchdown.
Well, as you know, I coach Hail Marys.
Yes.
And I'm one of the foremost experts in the country at Hail Mary coaching.
Yes.
If I were given the opportunity to coach a football team, drops, I feel like pass catcher drops are, what's the word I'm looking for? We allow them too much.
Yeah.
Like, for example,
we excuse them.
Yeah, we excuse them. Yeah. We said, well, it's really hard to, well, yes, but also no. Not if I'm, not up in here. Yeah. Not if I'm coach.
Not in the
Because, I was watching guys drop balls right and left, and I get it, weather. But you see this all the time with receivers. I was thinking about punt returns and kick returns. And how, dude, you muff a punt.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah, you're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
You're going to the. They will not allow you to not catch the ball. If I am ever coaching in the NFL, which is probably soon, you can see my trajectory here.
Oh, it's coming. You and Larry David. You'll be on the Jet staff in no time.
I'm sorry. Yeah. We're doing. I don't know if we're switching up the pass catching drills. I see him catch them out of the jugs machine all the time. I don't know what it is. But these guys got to hold on to the football better. I can't stand it when you do everything right. You think of all the X's and O's that go into designing a play and reading a defense and all the intricacies of a play, and you do everything right, and you hit the guy who's making $70 million to just catch it, and he can't.
It is I would say that is probably the most maddening layup that you miss in sports, because it seems, like you said, it just seems so easy, and yet you see it
all the time.
And when it happens, it is absolutely backbreaking.
And sometimes they're really egregious.
Yeah.
Like I get it,
Well, and like
a pass breakup or a,
but some like, and I saw some people saying, who was it? Like Sean King, who I played with, by the way, in Tampa.
What's he doing now?
He's a quarterback coach. And Sean King was a really good dude. He was the quarterback at Tulane and was a backup / starter in the NFL. Now he's a quarterback coach. Come on, Sean. Sean had he had the hot take that on the Andrews 2-point drop that Lamar needs to throw a better ball.
pass.
And I'm like, dude,
I was right in his breadbasket.
Stop it.
Right?
Yeah.
He had to turn back a little bit.
Like, again, was it the perfect throw? No. But to go on there and have the hot take that somehow that's Lamar's fault, just, Sean, stop that. And I know, like, you're it's engagement and you're trying to, whatever, but that's just asinine. And yet, ultimately, and this is why, again, sometimes the media is so stupid, because next year, we're going to have to listen to the Lamar can't win in the playoffs when, Mark Andrews just catch a ball.
That's true. Well, it would have only just tied it.
Would have tied it, but,
But, Lamar, okay, let's get into him next.
Yeah.
Because he's a big topic here, too.
Absolutely.
Can he win in the playoffs? Because
he was lights out in the second
he was
half.
great,
but
he
was
also
a mess early.
He
He's
also
tripping
turned it over
feet,
3 times.
He's dropping the ball, and
didn't he turn it over 3 times or twice?
Twice.
Right?
The pick was terrible. The fumble was terrible.
He's got a little. Okay, I want to talk about him. We're gonna talk about Lamar Jackson.
And I'm gonna defend Lamar.
Oh, I will too. I love Lamar. You know me. I love Lamar.
He just had a really rough first half.
You can't be doing like this. Is the difference?
Yeah.
That's it. And he knows it. And that's what's even more maddening because he keeps saying it. Yeah. Well, stop doing it. Dip ass. Well, we'll get to that next on The Fan.
It's the Vancouver Ford text line. The Fan.
Well, there's now to Lamar Jackson talk. We are meandering our way through the NFL weekend, and we've got a lot to get to. So if we haven't gotten to what you want to hear yet, just sit tight.
It's coming.
It will come, yeah. But we weren't here yesterday, so we couldn't talk about any of the games. But we're talking about Mark Andrews and everything and dropsies. Well, now to Lamar Jackson, who had 2 turnovers, played great in the second half.
Second half lights out,
but he's been lights out all year. Like, I mean, he did rally, but the 2 turnovers really hurt him. They got in a 21-10 hole, and they couldn't rally.
No.
And there's this old
and they
adage.
were back to back, right? The interception and the fumble came on, 2 straight.
That really flipped the game because then Baltimore was able to take advantage, and towards the end of the half,
Buffalo was able to take
I'm
advantage.
sorry, Buffalo, and then they got the ball to start the second half, which you really thought, wow, they're going to put this out of range. Just with the middle 8, which Baltimore luckily got a stop of that first second half, and they played a lot better on both sides of the ball, but it was too late. So there's this old adage that we've talked about here before, and that is let the other team lose the game.
Yeah.
And look, that's way too reductive to be a thing on a football team, right? But what that means when I would imagine when you're listening to Andy Reid coach or when you're listening to Sean McDermott coach, I think they're talking about the little things we cannot do that will cost us games, and they matter, and we cannot turn it over. Turnovers aren't even a little thing. Every coach knows that turnover margin is like the number one decider of football games.
And it decided every one of these games.
But
the Rams lost because of turnovers.
100%.
The Ravens lost turnovers, and then we haven't even gotten to the Lions yet. Oh my God.
But they turned it over, 5 times?
5 times, I believe.
So yeah, and every team knows it. And look, sometimes there's variance and turnovers are going to happen. But I do think, and I'd be interested in your opinion on this.
Did you see the number from the 4 games this weekend? The winners turned the ball over a combined 0 times, and the losers 10 total.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Tell me that before the weekend starts, and I'll tell you who to bet on.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's simple. Now, the question is how much of that can be controlled? And I do think that certain teams, particularly the Kansas City Chiefs, are freaking great at it. Yeah. They do not beat themselves. They let you lose the game. And when it comes to, and I thought Buffalo actually did that in this game against Baltimore.
Yes.
They were not, like, if you watch Buffalo this year, I feel like they got a little Chiefs in them where they're running the ball better, and they don't seem as explosive, and they know they don't have to be. They just know that they need to be more efficient, and they can't turn it over.
Fun two little Josh Allen things to I couldn't agree more with the Chiefs thing. Like, Mahomes' numbers are not fantastic. Did you see that receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs, 62 yards in that game?
Yeah.
And they won.
Yeah.
Josh Allen. And this is why I said at the beginning of the year, I've been wrong a million times, but everyone that was writing off the Buffalo Bills because Stephon Diggs left, okay, have fun with that. Josh Allen, he threw for 127 yards in this game and won. He had 1 pass over 10 yards. 1.
Yeah.
And yet they won. And they kind of feel, again, like we're going to be in that Kansas City mold, because last year when he was explosive and all that, what killed Buffalo?
Yeah.
Josh Allen turnovers. And this year,
he will.
He's not turning the ball over.
They've done a great job with him over the years of changing his,
yes,
getting him to understand that, whatever they've done. So that answers the question. It is somewhat controllable.
Yes.
And the Bills did a great job of that. The Bills didn't win that game as much as Baltimore lost that game.
Yeah.
The Chiefs never freaking lose a game. No. You better beat them.
Yeah.
And they make you do that. And that goes a long way. And I feel like with Baltimore, there is something about them, and maybe it's a Lamar thing. I don't know if he's ever going to be that. I think he's a guy that is sensational.
Yeah.
They are a team that is sensational, but that's kind of their thing, their Achilles heel. I don't know if they clean that up. I don't know how they clean that up.
I think he will eventually have a Peyton Manning, Steve Young, Drew Brees. He is too good to not get one. Although Dan Marino never got one, right? I mean,
is he now the best quarterback who never got one?
Yes.
I mean, he's got he will get his third MVP.
This will be his third MVP. And he does things that I've never seen a quarterback do. And in the second half, he was lights out. But you're right in that he had the interception on the ball with Bateman, and then The one thing that Lamar will do at times, he gets a little wonky with his ability, and that ball was hanging out on the fumble, and those things were killers. And no Zay Flowers, I think certainly hurts. He's the one dynamic piece they have to their offense. And I thought that they got outcoached. I thought what Buffalo did defensively against them in the first half was really, really good. And it took Baltimore far too long to figure it out. I was sitting there in the first half. They did not have one designed quarterback run for Lamar Jackson. And I'm sitting there and I think Derrick Henry had like 7 carries. I am sitting there and I am beating my head against the wall being like, oh my God, they're going to do it again. Remember last year, I said Todd Monken had the worst, and hand to God, you cannot convince me otherwise. That was the worst game plan I've ever seen in my life with the Ravens against the Chiefs. And it still came down to a Zay Flowers drop. And in the first half, I was like, they're doing it again. What in God's green earth is going on? Second half, they adjusted and they got the run game going. And then I was like, all right, everything's fine. And it still came down to a Mark Andrews drop.
Well, Henry only carried it 16 times.
I know. It makes no sense to me. But in the second half, they were rolling, and some of that was Derrick Henry, and we're still going to put this on Lamar. And yes, last year and this year, he was not perfect, but he is not the reason why
I don't think so.
They have lost these two games.
No one's saying that. At the same time, this is also not a statement that says he can't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he just hasn't.
But the question with him is very valid, especially after that game, because I don't know how you get better than what Baltimore's bringing to the table.
Yeah.
With Derrick Henry and him,
it's
if
great.
Zay's out there and Andrew, like, dude, that is as good as you can build a football team.
It's scary.
And so I think the question with Lamar is a fair one, is that if they're going to win one, are they going to have to do it in spite of Lamar's boneheaded plays from time to time? I mean, there are quarterbacks like that.
Yeah.
Brett Favre was like that.
Favre was like that, yeah.
And Lamar may just be that guy because it's maddening how they cannot get out of their own way. They do not let the other team lose the game. Yeah. And that's all they have to do with a team that good. And you're right about Monken. I was texting back and forth. I have a good buddy who's a huge Ravens fan. He's from Baltimore. And he knows them as well as anybody.
Yeah,
and he was like, dude, we are learning that Todd Monken is not elite. Yeah. He's just not. He may be good. He's not. That's 2 years in a row. And you get down to this level of the NFL playoffs, it's uncanny how the same coordinators kind of pop back up, right? Spagnuolo, again. Vic Fangio, again. That guy is elite. Those guys are elite. Todd Monken is showing he's not it.
No.
He's just not. And I don't know if they'll make a change. They had a really good offense, but there's a difference between being great in the regular season and being great against great teams who are scheming against you with great coordinators in the conference championship game or the divisional round, and he just hasn't had it. Each of the last 2 years, he hasn't.
How about on the goal line? You got that Derrick Henry guy. Maybe give him the ball.
You mean on the 2-point?
Yeah, the earlier in the game, like there's just times
where they had to settle for 3.
Yeah, there's times in the game where I just. Again, it's easy for me to sit up here and be like, oh, you should run this. There's too many times, even during the season, this Baltimore offense at times was the best offense that I've seen in 20 years
really
of
hard to stop.
Watching the NFL. And then other times you look at it and you're like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Yeah. And for the first half, and so I give them credit because they made adjustments the second half. They were lights out. But as you said, that first half was just kind of sitting there being like, what? Not 2 years in a row. And to come that close, and it's still, the last couple of years have come down to drops and
Tell you what,
silly turnovers.
I got a new thing about them. I've been on them for years. I love them. I had a ticket for them to win the Super Bowl. I'm like, dude, that team is so good. And Harbaugh's won one, so we know it's, I will no longer trust them. I can't trust them.
No.
You just can't.
I get it.
And, that last drive, what was another interesting thing is, like, I don't know what you thought, but real quick, we'll get it in the news next, but that last drive where McDermott kicked the field goal. That's another. See, I thought that was like questionable that he went for 3 there.
Yeah.
To give Baltimore a chance to come and tie it. I was like, dude, this is how you keep losing to Kansas City.
Because you've seen a lot of teams lately that just do that. You know what? Screw it. We're not giving you the ball. We're going for it. We're going to end it right here.
Exactly. He didn't, and it worked out. But I thought that was, nobody's talking about it because they won.
Yeah, they won.
But that was pretty conservative.
That was 4th and goal at the 2-yard line. And they kicked it. And believe me, I was like, and I get it. It's 8. If it was to go up 7, I'm like, dude, you go for it. But at least 8, you make him get the 2-point conversion and see what happens. But but they had the 2-point conversion. And what are we
Yeah.
talking about if they lose that game? We're going back to that McDermott call.
100%. And it's, I don't know. I just thought it's like the other team wants you to kick the field goal.
Yes.
Don't kick the field goal.
Yes.
Like the other team's like, oh my God, they're going to give us a chance. Fine.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
So that was dumb. But on that last drive, down 8, Derrick Henry wasn't even on the field.
No.
And I wonder, and some of that is, well, okay, you got to get down there quick.
You got to throw.
But at the same time, you also had the thought of, well, they've been having success with him. You've got plenty of time. As a matter of fact, they got down there, dude. They got down there just under the 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
So they had plenty of time. That was puzzling, I thought. Now, nobody's talking about it because Lamar drove him down.
Yeah.
But where was Derrick Henry on
I think
that?
it just comes down to when they realize that they have to throw the ball. Justice Hill is who they go to, and they got it back with I'm looking here, about 3:30, and so they just made the decision that Derrick Henry is, and he had a
plenty of
drop
time.
earlier too in the first half, and so I think when it just came to throwing, they made the decision that nope, this is Justice Hill. The one downside to Derrick Henry as opposed to the Saquon Barkleys of the world is Derrick Henry really doesn't play into the passing game.
Yeah, I just think that you had plenty of time to run the ball.
Did.
Because
They were running
also
it.
lost in that is if Mark Andrews catches that ball, is there any doubt that Buffalo gets down and gets a shot at a game-winning field goal?
Yeah.
Because they left too much time. So when you're I don't know how this may be just a fan thing, but when you're an offensive coordinator and a head coach talking about game management in the last 3 or 4 minutes, when you get the ball back, what'd you say, 3:20?
3:30-ish when they got it back.
I think one of the things you got to be talking about is, hey, and they had, I think, one timeout.
I think there were some timeouts, yeah.
One of the things you have to be talking about is we cannot give them, and we have to milk this whole thing.
Because
this is it.
It would have been 1:33 left, and Allen would have had the ball with a chance to go
and
down.
he would have had plenty of time.
Yeah.
And you can't. I mean, that's where it gets into the.
That's tough.
Well, you don't want to score that soon, but then again, you score, so it's like okay. But I don't know. I think that's part of the conversation too, which is where Derrick Henry comes in. It's like you didn't have to rush down the field the way they did.
Yeah, you had a little more time.
And you were having success with Derrick Henry, and maybe in the end you can tie it up with no time left.
Yeah,
So I don't know. The Ravens, you can tell I'm a scorned better.
Yeah.
Because that team, is as good a football team as you will see. That
It's haunting.
cannot get out of its own way.
It's haunting.
All right, in the news is coming up next. Let's see what we have for you here. Oh, Oregon wins again, Jace.
Hey, look at
Not Washington.
Oregon.
Oregon. That's next. Here's Buck.
This is a Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this Sports Center update. First on the Fan. Former Mariners great Ichiro Suzuki has been voted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. That news coming out this afternoon. On the hardwood this evening, the Blazers back in action as they visit the Miami Heat in South Beach. Donovan Clingan, Ryan Rupert, and Matisse Thybulle are all out. Tip-off in just a matter of moments. The Blazers are 10-point dogs on the road. The Ohio State Buckeyes are college football's national champions, and now they're the favorite to win it again next season at 4.5 to 1 odds. They're followed by Texas and Oregon, who are both at 6.5 to 1, followed by Georgia, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Alabama in that order. In the NFL, the Chicago Bears introduced former Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their new head coach today. Elsewhere in the division, the Vikings and head coach Kevin O'Connell have agreed to a multi-year contract extension. On the college hardwood, the Oregon Ducks host Big Ten rival Washington at Matthew Knight Arena this evening. Tip-off is at 8. Pre-game coverage starts right here on The Fan at 7:30. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The inside story on the Blazers, Ducks, and Beavers. Danny and Dusty. Weekdays noon to 3 on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
Well, in sports, fans, they get a little wild. I guess we learned that Ryan Day's family was getting death threats after the Michigan game.
I did not. I saw some headlines about his family going through a tough time, but I didn't know the extent of it.
Well, and then you have, I'm sure there's some drugged up Ravens fans that want to do bad things to Mark Andrews.
Oh, I'm sure. Like that one dude that was punching out Commanders people.
Yeah,
Remember
that
that guy?
Yeah.
I
guy.
think he might be in jail, though.
Yeah,
Probably
well,
someone called an advocate.
I'm sure. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That guy's victims. Let's talk about them. Or if it were Mark Andrews, if it were Ryan Day's family, you get injured by one of these crazy sports fans, you got to call Donikin, the advocates. Ken and Donnie, they are of no cost to you. They are personal injury attorneys. They don't get paid until you win, and they can help defer your medical bills from your beating that you're going to take. And until after your case is resolved. So consultations are always free. There's no risk in calling to see whether they will be able to help you, and they will fight against the insurance companies for you. So if you've been injured, you need more than a lawyer. You deserve an advocate. Go to their website and check them out, advocateslaw.com.
This is the story of the one. Championship Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Sue
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
on 1080 The Fan.
All right. What's up? What you guys doing out there? TGL Tuesday.
TGL Tuesday.
Already 1-0 Atlanta.
Thing is an unmitigated disaster.
You've got to kick him off the tour.
Some people were saying about like it's right around 1 million people are tuning into this thing. So
Why?
I don't know.
Well, you asked, and we had a texter deliver some factoids.
And I don't know if that's true. I'm just
I was
taking
going to
it.
say, did you make that up?
I don't know, man. If you text me in something that I don't really care about,
And the numbers were pretty specific.
yeah, like if it's something that I like means something to me, I'll probably try to confirm it. But if I ask you the ratings of the TGL and you throw out something, I'm like, yeah, it's good.
17 million.
Sure, why not? I'll roll with that.
I might push back on 17 milli.
1 million people. I'm also convinced that if you put something on TV, no matter what it is, people will watch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on ESPN, for God's sakes.
That's right.
At any given point, there's 1 million dumbasses sitting around being like, oh, let's see what's on ESPN. This, fine.
Well, and it's new.
Yeah.
And it's new.
It's new.
I don't know. Is there anything else
It's
appealing?
new
about?
and
It's
new.
on when nothing else is on sports.
Exactly. What
Yeah.
else are you doing?
they picked a good window.
Dude, it's 4:30 on a Tuesday for
College
God's sakes.
basketball or hockey.
Exactly.
Or the Blazers.
Or you could be watching Knicks and Nets. Ugh.
No.
It is January 21, 2025. It is time for In the News. I'm your noted newsman. Hello. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you so much. This is brought to you by the Advocates, injury attorneys at advocateslaw.com. Today is Squirrel Appreciation Day.
Oh, I like the squirrels.
You do have a good appreciation for squirrels.
I do.
I'll give
I
that to you.
appreciate squirrels.
It is also One-Liners Day. Do you have any hot one-liners for us?
I don't. Is this like just like cheesy jokes or?
Yeah, I don't know. Like a one-liner to me is kind of like a heat of the moment type of thing. Like not necessarily a canned joke.
Oh, then no.
But I don't know. I may be wrong about that. Do you think of a one-line joke as
I guess-
a one-liner?
I guess I have one-liners that I say a lot, but most of them are blue that I can't say on air. So, like if someone says something, like if the phone rings, I am instinctually required to say phone's ringing, dude, or if someone says, hey, your phone's ringing, I respond with thank you, Donnie. I guess those would be one-liners from
One-liners,
movies.
yeah. From movies.
Creep can roll, man.
Yeah, something like that. Like that's just your opinion, man. Or
What if I
the
told
quotable
you-
Caddyshack?
Would this be a one-liner if I told you my jokes fell in the mud today and I can't tell dirty jokes?
Yeah, I guess that's a one-liner, right?
Thank you. Oh, Donnie. Well, Oregon wins again, Jace.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Is this the Natty?
What? They didn't win the Natty.
Oregon claimed their first paper national championship.
Yes.
They did.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's old.
The Ducks?
Oh, yeah.
In what?
Well,
On paper. The Wolf National. Was it Wolf? Is that what it is?
What?
something like that.
Oh, wait, what? What's Wolf? No, I want to
I'll get the info for you.
Yeah, but get it, because it's
What are
not
you
what
guys
you.
talking about?
I thought this is what you were talking about. It's not what you were talking about. But get the details of it because it's all very blurry. But yes, Oregon has claimed a national championship. Continue with what Oregon has won.
You know, Wolf is a really fun golf game you can play with your buddies.
I've
Yeah.
done that.
Yeah.
It is a good one.
No, lightning has struck twice. Did you see that Oregon, we sold the winning Powerball ticket again?
Oh, but it wasn't like a huge jackpot or anything.
$328 million.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you call. Oh, look at you.
It didn't get national attention. You only pay attention when that thing gets up to like a bill.
Speak for yourself.
Where was the? I only played the big jackpots. Where was the winner sold?
Beaverton.
Really?
Yep.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So the last year, the dude won the $1.3 billion jackpot.
Yeah, see that you pay attention.
And that
to.
was the guy that got it up there in North Portland, right? Wasn't he right off of Columbia? or
something like that. Yes, he was in the city. All right. Well, so basically, what you're saying now is start spending all your
Dude.
money on Powerball.
What are the odds of that? No, Trump crypto.
Not gonna take the bait.
Why not?
Not gonna. The only one making billions off that is him. Good for him, I guess. It's not creepy at all.
Well, you know what they say, den of thieves, right? What? It's true. That stupid pastor guy, he comes out with a coin right after he has his big moment on the inauguration. Den of thieves, man.
I need
it's
my-
right in the Bible.
I need a suit coin.
Isn't it? Isn't that in the Bible?
Den of Thieves?
Yeah.
It's a Gerard Butler movie. I know that. Throwing out money changers now. Well, kudos to whoever, and Beaverton is now $320.
$28.5 million richer.
So they'll take the lump sum, and so they'll get like what after taxes, like 100 mil.
By the way, if you're a pastor and you don't have a meme coin, what are you doing?
I don't think that's the way. I don't think that's the way the clergy is supposed to work.
Speak for yourself.
When's the Mormon meme coin coming out? Let's go.
Yeah, $328 million. They have not come forward, but they have to in Oregon. You have a year to claim your prize.
Yeah, you gotta come
You cannot remain anonymous.
No, 'cause
so
if-
maybe it's Dusty
If you can, you
He
would
lives out
100. Yeah, but he was at work today.
today. Well, so you're saying that?
Look.
Well, maybe he's trying to throw us off the scent.
Well, why? He's gonna have to come out eventually.
Well, getting his little ducks in a row. You don't want to tip anyone off.
I promise you. If I win, there'll be signs. There'll be signs. The first sign is me not being here. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, the exact location of the retailer who sold the winning ticket remains undisclosed until the winner comes forward. Very exciting times.
Yes, especially for that person that won $324
What an exciting
million.
time.
Or people. What if it's the same guy that won last
I
year?
mean, there are people that win the lottery multiple times. Supposedly, there are strategies you can do to increase your chances. Now, I mean, what do you?
Yeah.
There are. Like,
What I know, but what are my odds then? What are the best odds that I can get?
Oh, it's
by increasing my chances.
We all know the odds. You're better off. You have better odds of getting struck by lightning like 6 times than winning. But I've seen those articles that say there is a handful of things you can do, including like playing the same numbers, not doing random numbers, and I don't know. There's playing more often. I forget, but there was an article that was written back when
playing more often. There we go.
Well, like there was a thing like that when when it got up to like $1 billion, like there is a strategy that some people play that win more, and that's not even necessarily you're going to win the Powerball because you can win lesser prizes.
Maybe they don't win more, but they have better odds of winning more.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep after it.
Or don't.
Because Oregon's hot.
Dude, I think I've played
2 Powerballs.
Yeah, like every 8 years I think about it. I'm like, oh, I should buy one.
Now, if you're a Powerball player, would you now say because there have been 2 major Powerball jackpots drawn in Oregon,
you're probably
are
done.
you now flying to Vermont to get your tickets?
At least go to Washington or something.
It does feel like yes, that you're maybe Oregon. All the juice in Oregon has been squeezed dry. It's time to head over to the Couve.
Oregon's hot. Happy Valley.
Oh, there you go. Well, I'm out in Happy Valley all the time. I should be.
You better get it
I should be buying my tickets out at Happy Valley.
You better get a lottery ticket.
I played the lottery on 82nd Avenue, but it's a different kind.
I know that lottery. Get you an ointment.
It's a game of chance either way, right?
2 people from Oregon were arrested. Oh wait, I shouldn't start this story. We should take a break.
Probably.
2 people from Oregon arrested Saturday doing what in California?
Ooh.
What do you think they were doing?
Something on 82nd
I saw
Avenue.
this. This was kind of crazy. I think I did.
There we go. And we're going to find out about Wolf titles.
The Oregon Ducks football national champions via the Wolf ratings.
Okay. That's next on The Fan.
This is The Fan's Window into Sports, a view into today's top stories, brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
And like I've been saying all season, every time we're in situations like this, turnovers play a factor, penalties play a factor. Tonight, the turnover, we can't have that shit, and that's why we lost the game, because as you can see, we're moving the ball wonderfully, is hold on to the fucking ball. I'm sorry for my language, but this shit annoying. I'm tired of this shit.
Well, okay, You're tired of it. Stop doing it.
He had one, the interception, although now it's coming out that Bateman broke that route off, so maybe that wasn't on him. And then the Andrews fumble, and, the frustration level is real in Baltimore.
Should be. The Window into Sports brought to you by Window Nation. 50% off all window styles. 2 years interest-free financing right now. Schedule your estimate by calling 866-90-NATION or visiting windownation.com.
The home of Dirt and Spray.
I'm Dirt.
Any thoughts on?
You're a loser.
Were we giving that speech again?
Oh, the Blazers, they played?
Lost by 30.
They've never been more out of sight, out of mind.
I've already been there with you.
I was watching the Beaver game. I mean, I knew that they played. That was joking. I didn't go anywhere near that.
Ant went 0 for 9.
I'm not turning on the Clipper game when you're down by 40 with the antenna when I'm trying to watch relevant, interesting, and fun and entertaining college basketball.
Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on 1080 The Fan.
Big Souk here for the Big Ford store, Vancouver Ford. Locally owned and #1 in customer service for, get this, the 7th straight year. Their certified staff is ready to get you in the ride you're looking for. Vancouver Ford isn't just my hometown dealer, it's the dealer I send my family and friends to because I know they're going to be well taken care of and you won't find a better deal, period. Vancouver Ford is proud to represent my hometown and I'm proud to stand behind them. Find them right off Andreessen at SR 500 in the heart of Clark County or online at vancouverford.com.
Let's face it, selling your home can be stressful. No matter the situation, if you need to sell your home quickly, I encourage you to start with Quinn Irvine of Portland Cash Buyers. As a trusted local home buying partner, Quinn and his team are there to assist when life throws you an unexpected curveball. You're going to get an offer on your home within 24 hours with a stress-free transaction. No need for showings, inspections, or Wolf Council or whatever.
Yeah, first time hearing of this. But Oregon will be recognized as a national champion in football for the first time in program history, it says here. Peter Wolf's mathematical rankings put them number 1 over Ohio State.
Yeah, the prestigious Wolf Index rankings.
Hang the banner.
Yeah.
Just because it's a paper title doesn't mean it's not a title.
Who is Peter Wolf? By the way, Washington finished first last year. I don't know if you know that.
Washington did?
I think that's, yeah.
Oh, well, hey.
I think so.
National title. Let's go.
So it doesn't matter who wins on the field. It's about the Wolf rankings.
Yes.
Boy, that's something. By the way, I have a TGL.
It's a well-known firm that provides financial research and analysis. So
Analytics, whatever.
Analytics.
I have a TGL tie-in for you.
I can't wait. Please tell me more.
Well, we're watching Atlanta dismantle New York tonight in the Tomorrow Golf League.
Yeah.
The owners are there of the teams. Do you know who owns the New York team?
I don't.
Your guy, Steve Cohen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's there.
What is that?
And he owns your team, the Mets.
Yes, he does.
Therefore, and because
I have to root for
you,
them.
You might want to root for New York.
Interesting.
They need your help.
What does a TGL team run Steve Cohen in?
I don't know. But Arthur Blank owns the Atlanta team.
Did he just find that money in his couch cushions?
So I think what they did was they went out and found guys so rich, they're like, yeah, fine. How much you want for this stupid thing? Yeah, whatever. Call my secretary. She'll cut you a check.
I wonder if that's what it was. Steve Cohen, like, I wonder if he even thinks about the money that he invested.
They start to pitch him, and they're like, give me the elevator pitch. And they're like, Tiger Woods is involved. He's like, I'm in.
All right. Do I get to meet him? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Here's $1 million. 50 million? I don't know.
I'm gonna
look up. Yeah,
look up, see what
he
Steve Cohen paid for that.
2 people from Oregon arrested Saturday after pretending to be firefighters at the Palisades fire in California.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know the point of that, but this is kind of crazy.
Were they doing nefarious things, or were they trying to fight fires?
They had their own freaking fire engine.
Huh.
Yeah, they had an illegitimate fire truck.
Really?
And they were in the area. Deputies stopped the fire truck and spoke with them, both wearing fire gear. They claimed to be from Roaring River Fire Department. Authorities said that they learned that the fire truck had been purchased at an auction. They admitted that they had been in the evacuation zone on January 17th. Dustin and Jennifer Nell, they are married. Although she's robbing the cradle a bit. She's 44. He's 31.
Oh, my goodness.
Scandalous.
The cougar dad. Not as scandalous as pretending you just bought a fake fire engine? You can do that?
Well, no, they bought a real fire engine at auction.
Yeah.
But it's not a...
It's like a decommissioned.
Yeah.
By the way, can I say that that'd be pretty pimp to just drive around in a fire truck? Be a little hard to park in the city, but pretty cool. I mean, I've heard this with people. This happens with cops all the time. People pretend to be cops. I can't say I've ever heard of anyone pretending to be a firefighter.
Yeah, it's a weird one. And there's shockingly, there's no details, but they said that they impounded the fire truck and they were arrested for impersonating a firefighter and entering an evacuation zone.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see in a patented Rob follow-up whether this was like you were trying to loot and get something for this, or if you really, because there are people that try to do things like this because they want to be firefighters without actually having to go through the process.
They chase being a hero, kind of. Yeah.
Look, them being from Oregon leads me to believe it's a very Oregon thing that they thought they had the fire truck and they were going to go help.
I could see.
Don't you think? Like, that's a very...
Or I could see someone going into an evacuation zone and then stealing because you've got a fire truck and you can go
But
through
that's more Florida.
Yeah, the
if
Oregon
they were
thing.
from Florida. But being from Oregon, they're probably like, babe, we've got that truck. These people need our help, man.
It's like when the Cajun Army comes to help out in a Houston flood and all the people from Louisiana bring their boats over to help out.
Let's get our lettuce.
Who are the douche canoes that like they wear like berets? They're in New York and they like beat people up on the street because they're doing what the cops can't. Is it like the Guardian Angels or whatever?
I've not heard of this group.
You have no idea.
Yeah, you have, dude. The leader of this dumbass crew. Like, he's all over the news. Like they've been doing this like 30 years. He runs like a group of vigilantes that wear sleeveless T-shirts and like berets, and they go around New York and like beat up immigrants and are like, "We're here to take back the streets."
What? That's legal?
That's my point. Is they're not cops and they pretend to be cops. Like, there's a lot of people
But
that
are they like trying to help cops? Like in terms of
yes.
beating up immigrants is not necessarily like helping the cops.
I think the idea is that they're there to stop the crime, and a lot of times it's a lot of uncomfortable profiling. But I think they're called like the Guardian Angels, and they run around New York, and they're just like it's what would happen if Batman didn't have any money and no equipment.
As are Asians.
It's just some dumbass in a t-shirt and a beret. But it's just, I could totally see someone being like, I'm going to be a hero. The firefighters need help. I'm here. And the firefighters are like, don't do this.
We're going to arrest you now.
Yes.
That's your in the news. June 21, 2025. The Hot 5 at 5 is next. Will Ichiro sneak into the Hall of Fame? We have the answer next on The Fan.
The forecast calls for wet weather. It's time for Pub Beer's Wet January Report. Remember, dry January is fine, but don't judge people that need a beer with their football. Pub Beer, cheap fun.
22-yard line, that's where Philadelphia opens up. Handoff, it's Barkley running to the left. Barkley gets by everybody! Saquon Barkley is gone! Touchdown!
Probably not a lot of dry Philadelphians.
No.
Dry January.
Normally you drink to when your team loses, or if you're Philly, I think you drink before, after, and during.
Yeah.
And yes, they are drinking to Saquon Barkley because that dude's amazing.
They're the definition of this bit. Dry January is fine, but don't judge people who need a beer with their football like Philadelphians. Pub Beer, cheap fun.
Every year, as many as 19% of Americans participate.
It's KWJJ HD2 Portland, an Odyssey sports station. Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this Sports Center update. First on The Fan, new Baseball Hall of Fame class announced. Ichiro Suzuki, Billy Wagner, and CeCe Sabathia all voted into the Hall. Right now on the hardwood, the Blazers are in Miami, taking on the Heat. They're towards the end of the first quarter, about 90 seconds to play in the first frame. The Heat up 32-27. DeAndre Ayton, Anthony Simons, both with 8 points apiece for Portland. The Ohio State Buckeyes are college football champions, and now they're the favorite to win it all again next season at 4.5 to 1 odds. They're followed by Texas and Oregon, who are 6.5 to 1 to win the title. Then it's Georgia, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Alabama in that order. In the NFL, the Chicago Bears introduce former Lions OC Ben Johnson as their head coach today. Elsewhere in the division, the Vikings and head coach Kevin O'Connell have agreed to a multi-year contract extension. On the college hardwood tonight, the Oregon Ducks host Big Ten rival Washington at Matthew Knight Arena. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock. Pre-game coverage starts right here on The Fan at 7:30. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Brian Buckley, the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan. It's 5 o'clock.
Mahomes steps up, throws, and he got it.
This is Conference Championship Week with Isaac and Sue.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design, a trusted local architectural design studio ready to bring your dream home to life. Visit smartlinehomedesign.com.
Primetime with Isaac and Sue on 1080.
Touchdown, Kelsey.
The Fan.
All right, welcome back. Hey, we couldn't. Hello, I like this
Hi.
song. This is a good song.
It's a very uplifting sort, and it's like played in I think 1,000 movies.
Well, this was also when you were out. I think you're already up in Canada, but we had a little club earworm segment of songs that have been used in ads that you didn't necessarily realize were in everything.
You know
That's
what
one
else
of
is a banger? Is that Big Ten song?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of that, but I have that too.
Yeah, we played that one. You know what I'm talking about? You know the Big Ten flyover map song?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking of, and I know the ad, and I can't picture
It's like
the song.
it goes like I don't care. You know, that's the end of it. He's gonna play it.
Yeah,
because we need to hear that.
Lady Aqua, by the way, is the one that sings.
Yeah,
just came to say.
Yeah,
hello.
we did a whole segment on this.
Yeah.
So this is the Big Ten song.
This is the Big Ten song.
It's called Silver Linings by Guards.
Yeah. Now, not all of this is in the ad, but when they get to the chorus, you'll recognize it.
Well, there was an article in Rolling Stone like a month ago that was talking about how, especially in today's music business,
here,
yes,
they're flying over the map.
Never the little things are popping up. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They said that in today's landscape, landing a theme song or an ad like that is huge money.
Yeah.
They said that who are the people that did the Big Bang Theory?
Was it Bare Naked Ladies?
Bare Naked Ladies. And
I love them.
So they wrote that obviously for the Big Bang Theory, specifically for it. Do you know what they have made off of that one song that they wrote for what they thought was a cheesy little sitcom?
Well, they're the definition of cheese.
Yes. And they wrote that for that, and they said that they have
Millions.
They have raked in off of that somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million
Each?
Man.
For the band. I mean,
Yeah. Well, there's two of them.
Do we think the same thing happened to the Rembrandts with the "I'll Be There for You"
if they
friend
were
scene?
if they were smart,
Oh, yeah.
if they were smart, and
That's
it wasn't
the
just,
Rembrandts?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
Rembrandts. I'll be there, and they did a little clappy thing. Yeah. So they said more and more acts are open now because, like, hey, you're not selling albums anymore. They're more open to using their music for jingles or writing for movies specifically. And
Well, look, I don't know that band that he said sings the Silver Linings.
And that was one of our conversations.
Yeah.
Was like, is getting the Big Ten promo spot like the biggest thing that happens in the career of Guards, a band we've never heard
I
of
don't
otherwise?
know. I don't know if do they even play that? Play the Big Ten song. All the sports guys are showing up to their shows.
Came for the one promo song and the beer.
Wisconsin football guys, like, yeah,
I want it.
Well, anyway, how's everybody doing? Good.
Good, great, grand.
Little Tuesday. It's your sports bros, Rop and Souk. Big Souk's right over there.
Right.
Oh, dude.
I'm Rop. There's Buckley.
And it makes me sad.
He's over there. He was out at the coast, I think, right?
Yeah, I was.
Last weekend?
It was gorgeous.
Did you get your football in, though?
Yeah, they did. We had a nice spot right on the beach, and so just kind of kept it on in the background and just shuttled back and forth with the kids and checking in, and then they were all asleep for maybe the most shocking game of the weekend, which was the Detroit Commanders one. So I caught most of that one. That was great.
Good. Well, coming up here, we will get back into the NFL weekend. We're calling it our NFL Weekend Wonder Bread today. we have not gotten to the. We've been actually the only NFL game we've really discussed is the Ravens and Bills.
We
a little
touched
bit of
on
Philly
that,
too.
Yeah,
Little
that was
Philly.
The one we went in depth. The Lions game was just shocking. Team that had been perfect
Yeah.
all year and at home, and we just wondered when the defense was finally going to burst. And when you lose your starting corner right at the beginning of the game with all the other injuries, it just felt like everything fell apart and the Lions got desperate.
Well,
And
Philly lost a corner in the game.
That's true.
And they won.
Well, I call
So
that.
do what the Eagles did, Detroit.
Well, they tried, and then they stopped handing the ball to Gibbs for some reason. But ultimately, I call that the Scooby-Doo game because Jared Goff pulled off his mask, and he was Jared Goff. Like
Golf.
wasn't
Scooby-Doo
good.
ghost penis mystery. That's one of those games where you're like, hey, you thought it was me all along, and it is. And
I'm Baker Mayfield. And also, we haven't gotten to the referee darling Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, it's bad. I don't like talking about officials, but I get why people are done with this.
So we hate the Chiefs now because of this.
I think I think it's starting to pile up. 10 playoff games. They have I think they've had 11 actually, and not one time has the other team had more penalties than Kansas City.
So we'll get to that coming up. Club tonight. Oh, we have to get into the tale of the Boise Vag plates.
Oh yeah.
How about that?
Turns out Buck's friend
This is great.
Is the greatest coward that this land has ever known.
Okay, so
Buck, I think you are a coward because your wife
Whoa!
owns you.
What?
Yeah, you know.
What did I do here?
catching
You're
straight.
catching strays. Your wife owns you. But this guy,
Wow, okay.
this guy, your friend, the fact that he backed down to his wife over this, that man, your dear friend, that is the coward of cowards.
Yeah.
Whoa, hey. Are you... Buck really is catching strays.
Buckley
Jeez.
sent us a text today that threw us into a tizzy.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk about that. It's a real life story.
Mm-hmm.
And we will talk about that
Which
in the
Sue
club.
thought was fake.
I did. I
But
thought,
it
I
seems
thought
fake.
you got balls.
It looks fake. It's not.
It's very real. We'll get to that coming up. But right now, the Hot 5 at 5:12.
Hot topics, hot opinions,
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
and hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
It's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. Discover Victor Rico's new savory menu items. Order in store, online, or get it delivered straight to your door at victorricos.com. Number 5.
Well, the Ducks are hosting the Huskies tonight on the hardwood here on The Fan. This will be Washington's 5th game in a row facing a ranked team. They have lost the first 4 under the Sprinkler, Danny Sprinkle. Both teams coming off a loss to Purdue. Man, Purdue.
Yeah.
Purdue.
And it wasn't one of those like Oregon resounding like comebacks or whatever. It
Almost was, though,
thought
because
about
they
it.
got down by like, well, it was the typical Oregon mojo of getting
Yeah.
down by like 10 with 5 minutes left, and this one they didn't rally.
No, didn't come storming back.
Pregame tonight is at 7:30. The tip, 8.
Yeah. Washington, by the way, 1-6 in conference play.
Yeah. Yeah, the West Coast teams are finding out that the Big Ten is pretty tough.
Yes.
In basketball.
And they're already starting to bitch about the travel schedule.
Yeah.
Who could have seen that coming?
Ah. Hey, Minnesota's also 1-6. So
Number 4.
In the NBA tonight, you will not be spared another look at the red-hot and rolling Portland Trailblazers. They are winners of 1 in a row. They are in Miami.
red hot and rolling. Hey, the last couple games, though, if you're looking for any sort of positive sign, which I don't know if you are, because who cares, but Scoot's strung together a handful of nice games in a row.
I would like to report that Scoot Henderson has gone to that lake. He is averaging 25 a game in his last 4.
Yeah.
He is shooting 53% from 3.
So, again, those numbers aren't going to stay put, but if you're looking for some sign of hope over the course of this year, it's the development of the young guys, because up until this point, Scoot has looked like a bust. So
the Blazers, I'm happy to report, are losing.
Yes, but only by 2.
It is only 40-38, early second. Will they get revenge?
I think they're like, what, 6th worst in the league right now?
On the Heat.
If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
Number
You know what? There's
Yeah.
a drop for that.
Tied for 6th. And by the way, this is a deal because if you look at all the draft odds the way it's weighted, 1 through 6 is you're kind of all like in that mix. When you get to 7, the odds drop significantly.
Well, somebody told me they pulled the chute and then they went out and beat the Bulls.
Well, you should not, under any circumstances, be rooting for them to be a 7 or 8. I guess the 7th or 8th worst team.
Another win for Justin Wilcox and Cal in the transfer portal. They get Ohio State backup quarterback Devin Brown.
Yeah.
They get a national champion.
I like that as soon as the game's over, like they bad. And by the way, I don't know if you saw this, but did you see that the transfer portal is no more? Did you see the Wisconsin DB?
I did, yeah. I have that in my note. That we'll get to later in the week, but yeah.
Someone has officially...
He transferred without the portal.
He just has... And the NCAA admitted that the transfer portal isn't a real thing.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do.
I'm not... By the way, we'll talk about this, but the NCAA was like...
well, there's nothing stopping him.
Yes. So the transfer portal as we know it in all the windows, according to Wisconsin
It was
and Miami...
totally made up in the first place.
They don't exist.
Yeah.
So last year's starter at Cal left to transfer to Indiana, Fernando Mendoza. This kid, Devin Brown, has 2 years of eligibility remaining, and he'll compete against that kid whose name I will not pronounce, who was at Oregon.
Yeah, the freshman kid.
For a couple weeks.
Yes.
Jaron Sangapolutele.
There you go.
Hall of Fame inductees announced for 2025. You get 3 this year. Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner.
Think about that. Ichiro he was 1 vote away from being the second unanimous player. Mo Rivera, the only perfect one. Griffey was 1 short.
Are we blaming your brother for this vote?
Jeets was 1 short. I wonder if he would have, because he hated Ichiro.
Are those votes blind, or are we going to out the jackass who didn't include him on the
No, I
ballot?
don't think those votes are blind. Don't we normally get to find out?
Like who was it that didn't vote for Griffey? Do we know? I mean, I don't recall this, and I don't recall getting the names.
No idea.
But yeah, Ichiro, I think 93 out of 394, I believe it was. So going
His
to the
speech
Hall,
will be good,
but not perfect. I don't know if I've ever heard him speak.
I've heard him speak, but I would imagine he'll do it with an interpreter, but maybe not.
He speaks fluent English.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It'll be
And if it's not a Q&A, maybe he will just do it himself.
He might. Yeah, he's a really thoughtful guy. That will be a very interesting, because I know that means the world to him.
Absolutely.
So that will be
Do
fun.
you think he'll do it in uniform?
With eye black?
You got to admit, the Ichiro hang-around thing is kind of sad.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
But,
He was great.
Us hosting a radio show still is kind of sad, you know?
Sad. But I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it with eye black on and cleats.
I am.
You do wear golf shoes from time to time.
Sometimes. Well, the Lions lost offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. He goes to the Bears. Now it looks like defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn is leaving as well from Detroit. He is reportedly going to land the Jets job, although that is not official yet.
Yeah, the report was the Saints they're not going to let him. They're not going to let him out of the building. Like
The Saints or the Jets?
The Jets. Sorry.
Yeah, you said Saints.
I know.
He's going to get the Jets job.
Jets job. I stopped and I was like, Saints, no, Jets. That was the report, is that they're determined to not let him out of the building until he signs a contract. And so if you're the Lions, that loss stings even more because
you lost both your Cordies.
No guarantees.
Well, after missing out on Johnson, the Raiders have pivoted to a surprising name. Their top target is now reportedly Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
And that's Tom Brady.
Yeah, go figure.
The Patriots are bringing back Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator under Mike Vrabel. That's his 3rd stint in that role.
If you're McDaniels, just don't go anywhere. This is where you belong. You're going to be there till you die. And he's a really good OC. That's a good pairing with Drake May.
And the Cowboys are interviewing offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer today.
How about them Cowboys?
Reportedly, he is the odds-on favorite now to land that gig.
Boy, really?
Yes. What a bad hire.
I didn't see that coming.
That's like, I think Jerry's smoking something. That's like Nathaniel Hackett type bad.
It does seem a little weird, but they have said that the only person involved in this process is Jerry Jones. He's doing it all by himself.
Oh, dear. There's your Hot 5. It's brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, a hit with the whole family. Order in-store, online, or delivered to your door at victorricos.com. When you think of flavor, think of Victor Rico's. Let's get back to our NFL Weekend Wonder Bread coming up next. What to do about the Chiefs and their refs. Next on The Fan.
The home of Dirt and Spray.
I'm Dirt. It was a perfect week.
was too busy grinding my absolute face off.
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
On 1080 The Fan.
You know, we've already talked about the Ravens-Bills game, but I had two little items left in my notes on that game, and I wanted to just toss them out. We'll wrap that game up, and then we'll get to the other games. But I was reading, and I think they showed this on the game, but the last time the Ravens were -3 in turnover margin in any game was last year's AFC title game.
Good Lord. And by the way, both of those came down to about as close as humanly possible. I mean, you can make the argument the Ravens should have won both of those games, and they didn't.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
You know, turnovers and particularly brutal ones. The fumble there. I mean, Lamar's fumble at least was early, but the Mark Andrews fumble was an absolute killer. And then, he drops the 2-point conversion, which I know that's not a turnover, but, they're just catastrophic like plays. And I think Buck had it. What was it? The teams that won this weekend, 0 turnovers. The teams that lost combined was at 11?
10, yeah.
10.
Well,
and then the Lions just, I mean, that was.
Well, we'll get to that. But you know that if the yards thing, too, he was talking about the turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that all 4 teams that lost outgained their opponents?
Really?
Yeah. So, it means nothing. Like, if you turn it over like that, it doesn't matter.
It really, especially when you're losing. I mean, it's one thing with a 1 turnover margin, but when you're talking about 2 and 3, I mean, it's against good teams. It's almost insurmountable.
But there is one team that outgained their opponent by over 110 yards, did not turn it over, and still lost. Do you know who that is?
Who didn't turn it over?
I think there's a drop for this. Hold on. Yeah, here it is right here.
What is the freaking Texans doing?
Yeah, duh.
The Texans are the first team ever to outgain their opponent by 110 or more, not turn it over, and lose in the playoffs. The previous 49 teams were 49-0.
If I told you that CJ Stroud was going to go 19-28 for 245 and they were going to run the ball for 5 yards a carry and not turn it over, they win that game. But that is like the most Chiefs win of all time.
That's what they do.
In that it's just, there's nothing impressive about it. I think it's like their receivers, outside of Travis Kelce, I think caught like a grand total of like 62 yards worth of passes. They didn't run the ball for diddly squat. I think they averaged like 2.5 yards per carry. And it felt like they were the worst team for all that game. And then you look up at the end and it's a comfortable win for them. They just find ways to grind things out, and then they expose what you do poorly. And for the Texans, what they do poorly is offensive line play. And Spags put their offensive line in an absolute pickle multiple times. And I think they got sacked. Was it 8-9 times that they got to Stroud? I mean, it's just that is absolutely brutal.
Is it possible?
9 sacks.
Is it possible?
9 times.
9 times. Is it possible that the Texans had just never heard of Travis Kelce?
It's possible.
Is that why they didn't?
It's possible.
They're like, who's this guy?
Well, there's no one else on that offense that scares you.
I know.
No one.
And yet,
I know linebackers is a bit of a weak spot for them, but I mean, my God, you would think that you would pay some attention to Travis Kelce, because at this point, he's really the only person on that offense that worries you.
It's amazing.
You might want to cover him.
Freaking Chiefs.
I don't want to get into a whole like detailed X's and O's thing, but let me just say this for the record. Remember last year I said that Todd Monken ran the worst offensive game plan I've ever seen in my entire life against the Chiefs. Yeah. And I stand by that statement.
Even John Harbaugh agrees with that.
And I will say this for the record. There has never, ever in my lifetime been a better team with a worse coach offensive line than the Houston Texans. I don't know who their offensive line coach is, but if he is not fired tomorrow,
let's look it up,
then that entire organization is a joke, because they are, and I get it, like sometimes you just don't have a lot of talent. But you know who doesn't have a lot of talent on their offensive line? The freaking Commanders. And yet they piecemeal that thing together. You have a young, bright star in CJ Stroud, and he had a massive, massive reduction in confidence, output, everything, because of your crappy offensive line. The amount of unblocked pressures, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there were 9 unblocked pressures in this game. They only threw the ball 28 times, and on 9 of those, Kansas City had free rushers.
Would you like to know who he is?
Yes.
Well, Northwest guy.
His name is Chris Strausser.
Where is he from? Like, what does he coach?
Well, he said Northwest guy. What do you mean?
Well, he spent a lot of time in the Northwest. He coached at Oregon State, Portland State. He coached at Boise State, coached at Washington.
Oh, my
coached
God.
for the Broncos.
He looks like unemployed girl dad.
Yeah?
Yeah, he doesn't look like an offensive line coach.
Well, he should be unemployed O-line coach.
He looks delightful, but he came from the Colts.
I have never seen just a less equipped offensive line in my entire life. And yes, I get it. Sometimes you don't have the horses, but like Spags against his protection rules that he builds into that offensive line, dude, that's like a child fighting Brock Lesnar. It's embarrassing. Like and a lot of times Spags isn't even bringing exotic pressures. There was one where Stroud just got annihilated, and they ran the Texans were an empty, and there were only two guys to the left, and they still sent the center over to Chris Jones. Right, they're going to double team Chris Jones no matter what, and the Mike linebacker mugs up like he's going to blitz. And then at the snap of the ball, he fake blitzes, and Shaq Mason still goes to him, and it leaves the defensive tackle a free. The idea of not blocking a defensive tackle,
It's Chris Strouser on the horn there, Buck.
It's incomprehensible. And I have watched the Texans do this time and time again. It is the worst coached unit I've seen in all my years of watching football, and they could have beat Kansas City, and they didn't because their O-line sucks. And as you can tell, I'm pissed off because I don't want Kansas City to win in the Super Bowl, and they probably will. And if I'm a Texans fan, that is infuriating because you have a good enough offense, and you certainly have a good enough defense to be a lot better than what you were. And the one thing holding you back is not just talent, but the way that group is coached.
Now, I know nothing about Chris Strouser other than what we're learning here. But is it a red flag? He's 61. He doesn't look 61. He looks a lot younger.
Yeah.
He has been around in coaching since 1989. Mm-hmm. Is it a red flag that he has been to no less than 20 different places?
It should be.
Or is it more of a red flag that he's never graduated from anything other than O-line or running game coach?
I mean, I know O-line coaches a lot of times just stay as O-line coaches, but let's not act like he has some sort of prestigious resume. It's just...
Menlo, he started at Menlo, Oregon State, Sonoma State, Portland State, San Jose State, Foothill, Portland State, Boise State, Colorado, Boise State, Washington, Denver Broncos, different position, Denver Broncos, Colts, and now Texans for 2 years.
Well, this just goes to show you all the things that go into winning a Super Bowl or getting over the hump. And you would think that something is... O-line coaches do not make a ton of money, right? They're not. It's not an expensive thing. No one thinks about it. But I promise you, whatever money that they are saving by hiring this guy and not spending a good amount to go get a really good O-line coach, you are seeing the difference. Because you can cover up for shaky O-line play if it's well coached. And it's funny because good offensive line coaches consistently put out good offensive lines despite who's playing there and the draft evaluations and whatnot. But that O-line is dreadful. And that is the biggest thing they need to do in the offseason.
I've long said that coordinator matchups, particularly the deeper you get into the playoffs, are a total are way more important than anybody ever gives any sort of credence to.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Did I say that right?
You did.
Yeah. Coordinator matchups, when you get to divisional round and on, and obviously in football in general, but that starts to get heightened. If you have somebody who is exposed by another coordinator, it's going to happen in these areas.
Yeah.
Or who can be exposed by another coordinator. It's going to happen here because these guys are elite. And like Vic Fangio in Philly.
Yeah.
Dude.
He's great.
I love what Washington's doing, but I don't know, man. I trust Vic Fangio just like I trust Steve Spagnuolo. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like every once in a while.
Spags is so good, and it really is. Anyone that thought the Texans were going to win, all you need to know was Spags and that defense playing against those crappy schemes. Because I'm telling you, it's a lot of it. It's the rules and the way the Texans play. Too many times they were leaving Karlaftis one-on-one with a tight end. And that one of the final series they had the back, not even their good blocking back, and the tight end. Like, there's just basic protection rules that they just have no idea what they're doing. And by the way, I just looked it up, and sure enough, Texas O-line coach Steve Strausser not expected to return next season.
They fired him.
Well, just
right after having the time of his life.
Well, it's one of those things that no one pays any attention to.
Here he is,
and yet
having the time of his life.
I think that is the biggest difference in that football game for me. All of that was that matchup. Was you said Spags versus that protection?
Well, you're a big sharp football guy, whereas us fans, you know what our biggest factor in that football game was? The officials.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't good at all.
And I don't like blaming officials.
But come on, man.
Bad.
We're going to get to that next. But first, Buck with SportsCenter.
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on the Fan. On the hardwood tonight, the Blazers back in action as they are visiting the Miami Heat. And it is halftime now in South Beach. The Blazers leading at the half, 61-55. Anthony Simons with 17 points to lead the way, including 5 of 7 from deep. The Ohio State Buckeyes are college football's national champions. Now they're the favorites to win it all again next season at 4.5-1 odds. Texas and Oregon are 6.5-1, followed by Georgia, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Alabama. In the NFL, Chicago Bears introduced former Lions OC Ben Johnson as their new head coach today. Elsewhere in the division, the Vikings and head coach Kevin O'Connell have agreed to a multi-year contract extension. In Major League Baseball, Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner all voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Ichiro falling just one vote short of a unanimous decision. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now, Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's window into 1080 The Fan. It's time for Who's Leading the Charge. A look under the hood at the coaches, players, and teams getting it done. Brought to you by Battery Exchange.
Kansas City 3rd and goal, leading by 1 4th quarter. Mahomes in the gun, receivers in tight. He gets the knee-high shotgun snap, and he's grabbed, and he throws as he's being tackled, and it was caught in the end zone by Kelsey. What a grab by Kelsey, but what a play by Mahomes. 11-yard touchdown pass as he was being dragged from behind and threaded the needle.
I'll state for the record.
Yeah, that was vintage Mahomes there.
I do hate the Kansas City Chiefs, and I hate Patrick Mahomes now. Oh, my God. That
play. That's what he does.
That touchdown throw is just it's stupid, and you shouldn't be able to make it, and he truly is special.
Battery Exchange, mention code BXT10 at checkout for 10% off your entire purchase this month online at batteryexchange.com.
For more than 50 years, PG Long has been the Pacific Northwest's premier choice for floor covering, cleaning, and restoration. By building partnerships with their customers, vendors, and suppliers, they can install quality floor coverings promptly and within your budget. And more importantly, deliver accurate information on processes, products, and pricing, guaranteeing a hassle-free experience for you. Before you take another step, call PG Long for a bid to experience the difference. PG Long, your Northwest flooring experts. Online at pglongllc.com.
Hey, it's Suk, and if the last few years have taught
big important.
He's now GM, and now he's got his door closed all the time.
He can do whatever he wants.
Doing closed door meetings.
He does have high chews in his office, though, which I'm a big fan of.
He does.
Yeah.
Anyway, I see you got hung up there with the big boss, the new big boss, who's not very big, but packs a mean punch. I was gonna say
linebacker at William. What was it?
Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark.
I was gonna say
He's
that
feisty.
And this pertains to nothing, but we always like to point this out because we have courage. Did you see the? So I pointed out at the start of the show when we were talking about the college game that the narrative that the media is lapping up with Ryan Day and Ohio State just going to the depths of hell and somehow surviving to win the championship, it's just so overdone. Like they had the best roster the whole time, and they act like Ohio State is like the only team to ever suffer a defeat and then return and win. Like, what on earth are they trying to sell us?
Yeah.
But Ryan Day, I will say, I will give him this. They did get a lot of criticism after the Michigan, like probably more so than
that was deserved.
Yeah, and it was, because that was such a bad loss that it's like, okay, so when Ryan Day got in the post-game interview and he said, well, people counted us out, I was like, oh my God. Well, then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
They kind of did.
Yeah.
So I give him that. Did you hear the other one from the NFL? A winning team's quarterback?
No. What are we doing?
Josh Allen.
I heard this one.
Oh no.
He did after the game, and I quote, because I wrote it, I always write these down.
Yeah.
He said, all year we've heard we're not good enough to compete. That's what he said.
What?
Did he go on to say, and we don't pay attention to any of that? Well, apparently you do because you just addressed it.
All right. The only thing, because I love me some Josh
We're
Allen.
not good enough to compete.
All right, hold on.
God.
I loathe the no one believed in us crap. But
Allen can't play that card.
I'm throwing but I'm throwing a but. Just like you did the Ryan Day, right? We're giving a but. There were a lot of people, and I hate when a lot of people. Most media outlets thought that Buffalo was going to take a big step back, and most people had the Jets or the Dolphins winning that division. And the idea was that with their two top receivers gone and not a lot coming to replace it, and the defense was and do they have a consistent run game? And a lot of people thought that the Bills were taking a big step back and the McDermott needed to go. But yes, 13-4 and you're not good enough, cram it.
Can't compete?
That's ridiculous. Josh Allen was one of the 3 favorites to win the MVP, so
stupid.
You need to stop with the no one believed in
so
us.
So who will do it next? You know, the Chiefs never do this.
No, what? You've won 2 Super Bowls in a row.
Well, I know. Well, you would think Ohio State wouldn't do it either, but here we are.
Yeah.
They all do it. The Chiefs are the one that, like,
the only team that has a right to do this is the Commanders. The Commanders can do it.
They can.
Yes.
Anyway, for the crowd, okay, so Mahomes gets all the calls.
Yeah.
It seems. And this is now part of the fan narrative why we hate Kansas City.
Yeah.
Plus, they just win a lot, and we don't really appreciate their wins. No. They're not as pretty as, say, Washington.
Well, there's the thing where if you dominate, like when the I'm trying to think of like the Warriors in the NBA, when they were kicking people's ass, there wasn't a question of who the best team was. Dude, they were erasing you from existence.
And they let you know.
Yeah, it's like, hey, whereas Kansas City.
Yeah, you always think,
you're like, you're not that good.
And then we keep betting against them.
Yeah, and then they just keep winning, and you're like, how?
Well, they're that crazy stretch where they're like 11-0 straight up, but they're like 2-9 against the spread. They're not covering anything. They're barely pulling all these out, but they're doing it every week.
Did you bro schemes have any money on that last safety?
I did not have any money on that.
Because a lot of people did.
Yes, that's the infamous this may matter to some.
Yeah. Yeah, that mattered to the point spread, depending on what number you got.
I will say that the Ohio State field goal at the end,
that mattered too.
That mattered to me.
Yeah,
I had a significant little wager on Ohio State there, and I was
it 8.5 or 8 that you got?
Because some people got 9.
Well, I was terrified.
Yeah, some people got 8.5 or 9. So yeah, you would have been hooped.
I was terrified that
he was going to kneel.
That those sons of bitches were just going to kneel it out.
Yeah,
and I was like, dude,
well, they couldn't. They would turn it over.
Yeah, but I thought if they were bleeding clock and getting first downs, I panicked after Smith caught the big ball. I was like, oh my God, they're going to be able to bleed this and win by 8. I'm like, no.
Isn't it funny how you think about a game? So let me tell you my scenario. I had Ohio State money line, and Ohio State -2.
Okay,
in 2 different bets. Felt great about it. Well, I hedged a little bit on my big money line bet with Notre Dame +8. I was trying to middle it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Notre Dame sitting there at 8, that's perfect. Because if they lose by 8, that bet doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I tried, didn't middle it, but I also didn't lose it.
Sure.
Okay? So I'm sitting there thinking, well, wait a minute. What if... So I'm this close to winning both bets.
Yeah.
What if Will Howard
I love the
runs around for 25 seconds?
Mahomes does that crap all the time.
I know. Well, Kansas City took a safety, but they weren't all the way down in Notre Dame's end of the field.
Yeah.
I was thinking, what if, I was thinking exactly like you, that they don't kick a field goal, and Ryan Day's like, well, they could block it and run it back.
Yeah.
So we'll just run around, waste some time, and hope that they don't.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that, okay, that I get a push. But then the second one is, what if Will Howard just runs the other way, takes 25 seconds off the clock, gets a safety, and I win both bets? Sure enough, neither happened.
Neither happened. But I had a significant. It wasn't significant, but I had placed a little money on Notre Dame at the beginning of this whole tournament to win the national championship. I just thought I was getting very favorable odds.
Would you get like 10 to 1 or something like that?
Yeah,
they had a good path.
They had a good path. So I put a little money on Notre Dame. Now here's the thing. I had won money individually. I kept betting on Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I thought about hedging my Notre Dame Ohio State bet, but what I did is I just loaded up on Ohio State. And that was basically my hedge. I'm like, dude, Ohio State's going to blow them out. So I put a decent chunk down on Ohio State, and so it's 31-7, and I'm like,
feeling good,
milk and honey, and I had it at 8.5, and I'm like, oh, I'm safe as kittens. And then when it got to 8,
that 2-point conversion,
my pucker was so tight. I'm like, you have got to be, trust me, that 2-point conversion. I'm sure there was a lot of people like me, dude. I am on the floor, and like my significant other is looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, don't talk to me.
Well, at 8 or less, you probably thought 3rd and 11. You're like, dude, because you got it at 8, you said?
8.5.
Okay, so yeah, you were going to lose.
I was going to lose.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, dude, 3rd and 11, Ohio State's playing conservative.
Yes.
It's
over.
It's either going to overtime or I lose my bet.
I'm done.
And in overtime, you ain't winning at 8.5.
I'm not winning. I'm like, I'm done.
And then the play to Jeremiah Smith.
Yes. And then, so like I go ecstatic. I'm losing my ass. And then the fear set in of what if they run it out? What if they just bleed the clock? And so I'm sitting there when they realized that like it was just Howard run, and I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, oh my God. And then they're lining up for the field goal. There are no field goals anymore that I take for granted. I'm sitting there being like, if you freaking do it.
Yeah, because the Notre Dame guy doinked, right?
Yes.
This is great. This is why
Jeter doinked it. Dude, I'm on the couch just nervous as all get out.
Gambling is fun, and it's not about the money, it's about the action. It's about that right there.
I'm watching
thrill of victory, agony of defeat.
Watching that
it's agonizing at times, but there's so much fun that goes into it.
It makes it way more fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, now we've blown through a whole segment talking about our own stupid
we got derailed with gambling, and it happens.
The last thing we're going to get to is Mahomes gets all the calls.
Yes.
We're going to get to that.
And now everyone can agree on it.
I think that's right.
It's become the narrative.
And it has become the narrative, but oftentimes the fan narrative can be dumb and not backed up by stats.
No,
what is backed up is that is true.
Yeah.
And somebody did the math on that today, or did all the numbers on that today. So we'll get to that next on The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics, brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Let's keep talking gambling. You guys, dealer's choice. You want Heisman odds affecting the Ducks or national title odds affecting the Ducks?
It's
title.
Yeah, give me the national title.
Ducks plus 650 to win next year's national title. They are the second favorite, tied with Texas. The Ohio State Buckeyes plus 450 to run it back.
Isn't that crazy that I got Notre Dame just having to win 4 games, and that I got that at like plus 975, and yet they're giving Oregon.
I don't love that.
You don't touch
Dante
that yet.
Moore as
wait for them to lose a game or two.
Yeah,
just wait.
Exactly. Well, even then, you think they're winning a title next year?
Probably not.
They had a better team this year.
Yeah.
We got smoked.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
What the hell are you guys smoking?
I would think that I would get better odds.
Mods PDX, the future of building is here.
The Fan is live on YouTube, Twitch, and Of Primetime with Isaac and Sue
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
on 1080 The Fan.
All right, well, as usual, we did not get through our NFL Weekend Wonder Bread. We will continue tomorrow with talk of we haven't really discussed at all the Lions getting smoked at home by the Commies.
No, that's...
And
honestly,
I've got more...
that is one of the more shocking results.
Yeah.
But you turn it over 5 times, but that is a stunning result in that game.
And I've got more in my notes about... Whoa. Misfire.
Hey,
Sorry. You guys want some rat?
Hey,
Rat coming at you.
round and round.
You
could do a lot
It makes
worse
me
than
sad.
If I was at some vintage shop and I saw a XXL rat T-shirt, I'd pick one of those.
Makes me think of The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, I had a rat T-shirt when I was a kid, and it was a rat getting electrocuted on a little rat trap, and it said "Rat World Tour today the sewer, tomorrow the world." And I had it like in the 6th grade, and I thought it was badass.
So we'll get to all of that stuff tomorrow. Good thing we have more shares this week.
Yeah.
But for the Mahomes gets all the calls crowd, I did read that Kansas City has the 4th worst penalty differential in the NFL since Mahomes became the quarterback.
Yeah.
That means that they have actually been penalized more than their opponents.
Really?
Yes, 4th worst penalty differential. In other words, they are penalized 693 more yards than their opponent.
Interesting, because in the playoffs.
Yes. Now that I had before I saw what Warren Sharp did today.
Mm-hmm.
Warren Sharp went down, and I think this is what you're referring to.
Yes.
Warren Sharp went back and looked at only playoff games, and it is stunning how little they are penalized.
Yes. There has never been a playoff game starring the great Patrick Mahomes where the Kansas City Chiefs have had more penalties than their team. One game, it was even. So for a team that is penalized quite a bit in the regular season, they are not penalized in the postseason. And it does feel like...
Or they get the calls.
Like
the
2
personal
fouls. And one directly led to 3 points. The other one was like 2nd and 7, the one where he slid late. So you can't say that, but they did score a touchdown on that drive. You can't say that was the sole reason. The Will Anderson one, they did have them stopped, and that was a direct 3-point swing in that game, and it was a big 3 points at that time. And then you had Mahomes doing the candy ass trying to bait them into another personal foul. And if one good thing comes out of this, hopefully it's that Kansas City gets screwed in the AFC title game with a horrible call. I think it'd be hilarious if Mahomes got screwed over on a call and Buffalo won because of it. I would laugh my ass off. But I do think that, and it's not just Mahomes that does it. I think he's the worst at it. We have to address something with quarterbacks manipulating the protection rules. You can't run around and be a runner. You can't do that and then expect the protection of being a quarterback. Too many times it happens where defenders are put in a pickle where like it appears that he's given himself up and then he keeps running, or he makes a juke, or he throws the ball late. And if you do hit him, then we throw the flag. That late slide where they called the penalty, that is absolute horse crap. What would you like a defender to do? It's almost like the defender is going to tackle me and now I slide down. And I hope that the NFL does something to address it. And finally, there is a narrative. Like the announcers for the first time are really hitting that and being like, we have to address this.
Yeah.
The NFL has to deal with this.
Yeah, no question about that. Now, nobody really follows officials. I'm guessing that super professional gambler types do.
Yeah.
Because they do matter.
Oh, yeah.
But Chiefs, when Clay Martin is the lead official, now I can't pick him out of a lineup.
Can't. There's only like 3 officials that I even know their names, and Clay Martin is not one of them.
But when Clay Martin is the lead official and Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback, the Chiefs are 7-0.
Well, to be fair, they're 7-0 a lot because they don't lose many
That's
games.
true. But this week against the Bills, they will get Clete Blackman.
Oh, by the way, if you saw
Blakeman.
Clay Martin, you would
Blakeman.
know who Clay Martin is.
Oh, okay.
I think you'll know Clete Blakeman too.
Let me see him. What do you got there?
Pull it up here. Yeah, you'd be like,
take your porn off your computer and show me what the hell is.
I was trying to blow up the photo for you.
That's Clay Martin.
That's Clay Martin.
Okay, so he and Patrick Mahomes are in cahoots clearly. 7-0.
I love it. Who's the other guy's name?
Clete Blakeman.
Clete Blakeman.
and the Chiefs are only 6-5 when he is the lead official. And this week against the Bills, they will get Cleet Blakeman.
So let's load up on our Buffalo Bills. There's Cleet.
Yep, know him. Yep.
I just need Kansas City to be done. I need it. I need it over.
Likey.
I know Likey. I'm done with it. And quite frankly, I think it'd be awesome to see Josh Allen. As long as he doesn't do the no one believed in us, I think it'd be really cool to see Josh Allen win a Super Bowl. The NFC, I'm not going to lie.
You kind of want Washington, don't you?
Well, I do want Washington, but I don't like Washington.
We can't get the Eagles and Chiefs, right?
No. So
we can't do that.
I can't. So it needs to be Washington, but I don't really want to see Washington in the Super Bowl. The NFC is kind of dead to me. I'm putting my entire. I just need Buffalo to win a Super Bowl. If it's not Buffalo, this is gonna suck.
So did you see one last thing? We'll move on to the club. But did you see our man Bob Fesco get owned on the internet?
No. What was Bob Fesco up to?
Well, we have a rivalry with him. Little beknownst to him, he has no idea. But he's a sports radio guy in Kansas City,
and
who was always
years ago he arbitrarily got ranked one spot higher than us.
Yeah, he was always ranked right ahead of us in the stupid sports radio show rankings.
Mid-major market ratings or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Fesco was like our Newman.
Yeah.
He was on Twitter. He's a Kansas City guy.
Yeah.
And he was on Twitter and he wrote, because everybody was complaining about the calls against Mahomes, he wrote, "Winners win, losers complain about the refs." That's what he wrote.
Oh, boy.
Big hot take from Dr. Fesco.
Bob Fesco.
Well, somebody, of course, mined his past tweets.
Oh, boy.
And he once tweeted this, and of course they just quote tweet and they say, "This you?" And it reads, "Brady plus Gronk plus refs equals hard to beat."
Bob.
So Bob got owned.
Bob.
I have a
by
confession.
social media.
I love the "this you" tweets.
Yeah.
I
great.
love those.
They're great.
Hey, I found your receipts, dummy.
Well, Will Anderson, I'm sure he'll get fined, but Will Anderson after the game said something to the effects. I don't have the exact quote, but he said it was basically it was hard to play 11 against 17. Playing against the officials.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, it is a thing.
Look, if you're the NFL, I do think you need to look at the fact that I've always said this, like whether you think there's any teeth to it or not. When something becomes part of the lexicon, where we all know now the meme of the NFL ref, but in the Kansas City colors, when that becomes part of the general narrative, you have an issue.
Yeah,
you absolutely do. And it does feel like that it's becoming more and more a thing when announcers are talking about it, when analysts are talking about it.
This specific week felt like a tipping point.
Yeah, it did. And it's an issue.
All right, we have an internal tale coming from the Buckley household. It is the tale of the Boise Vag plates.
It's the story you didn't know you needed, but
you need it.
You need it.
That's next on The Fan.
Hey, it's Isaac. We have nice new windows at our house and couldn't be
They have a white running back, for goodness sakes.
For porn, Dad. Porn.
We'll do it live.
True story.
He's a bee.
I like turtles. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Wow.
Well. Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hi.
Are we on the air?
I think we are.
Good. Good. You want to hear this next story?
Yeah, I really thought Buckley was getting ball sacked.
This is great.
I wasn't. Close personal friend.
This is a photo that Buck texted to Suk and I on our show text thread where we discuss just about everything.
Stuff like this.
Ad nauseum.
You got to admit, when you see something like this, like on Facebook or Instagram, you're like, okay, I'll take things that didn't happen for 1,000.
Definitely.
Right? This is like, and it's always some it's always some house mom, whatever, and it's like, my 4-year-old came up to me today and said the most, and you're like, okay, your 4-year-old didn't say that. Please stop. Like, you're clearly trolling for attention. And yet, if this is true, it's the greatest thing that's ever happened in the history of license plates and the most cowardly thing to ever happen in the history of husbands.
Well, and a cowardly thing now that has happened twice.
Yes.
Now, would you like me to tee this up, or would you like to?
No, you can go for it.
Okay, so the photo is just of a license plate. Now, it is our understanding that these are not vanity plates. This is just the random license plate generator.
Correct.
This is in the state of Idaho, where your buddy lives.
Yeah, my buddy lives just outside of Boise.
And of course, it's got the red on the top, says Scenic Idaho, and it's got the mountains, and then on the bottom it says Famous Potatoes. Well, the random letters and numbers say the following. They say 1A
dash
space VAG for the number U.
Oh my God.
1A vag for you.
That's right.
It doesn't get any better.
I mean, are you
Well, I
kidding
made the
me?
joke in Idaho, 2A vag for you might be better because you got the whole Second Amendment thing. So, it's a gun-toting vag for you.
Because 2 is like, you don't want to have 2A
Second
quality
Amendment,
badge.
2A.
You want top quality.
I know.
quality.
Yes.
And look, this is hilarious, but like if it went to you and you got it, it's not that funny. Like you drive a normal car or whatever, but the fact that this went to a mom of 3 that's driving a minivan.
And they just got the minivan because they just had their third kid.
I'm sorry, but it takes this license plate from good to great. Legendary.
Yeah, so your buddy lives out there, and he texted this to you and said, hey, my wife got these plates sent to her in the mail, and she says she will not put them on her car.
Refuses.
Which I totally see her point. I'm not putting that on my car.
I would insist.
I think most people would not put them on their
Really?
cars. Yeah.
You don't want 1A vag for you on your car? I'm sorry, it's
most people
amazing.
don't.
I'd put it on my car right now.
All right, let's put that to the test.
Done and done.
Well, let's find out if that's available in Oregon, and if it is, then you can have that vanity plate.
Dude, the idea of the BTJ driving around in her big jacked up Ford Bronco with 1A vag for you on it? Oh my goodness.
My buddy, who the plates were sent to, joked maybe he should just put her Venmo handle on the back of the back of the car and see what kind of money she can make.
Yes, I kind of want to get a bumper sticker now that just says 1A vag for you and put it on a car without her knowing.
Some of the comments are funny. He then texts us, I guess, what is this?
This is Slack. This is just a group thread of friends. We're all in a fantasy league together, and we end up just sharing a lot of crap over there.
So he says, should we request a replacement and just post a photo of these plates?
No.
Somebody said, oh my God, I'm dying. And then he said, Charlotte refuses to put them on her minivan. And then somebody says, oh no, it's him. He said, my in-laws demand that Charlotte send them a picture with her holding it because they don't believe it.
No one believes it.
No one
I didn't
did.
believe it.
But this guy is, if you knew him, he would not be the person to fabricate something like this for fun. It wouldn't happen.
Well, he clearly is a coward in backing down to his wife. Every now and then, take your balls out of your wife's 1A vag purse.
I don't think either
and
one
plant
of
your
them
feet.
want the license plate.
You're telling you wouldn't fight for this? Because I would.
I've given back a license plate.
You've given one back?
Yeah, when I was in California, I got a new one, and it either had I don't know, it had a series of letters that were either suggestive or had 666 on it or something like that, and I was like, no, thank you, and I just got a new one.
Oh my goodness. I'm waiting for this sort of thing to happen to me. It's so disappointing that every now and then the universe opens itself up and it gives this gift and someone is in it, their inability to appreciate it. And you're right. This is a Seinfeld episode, as the text line points out. This is the Ass Man plate.
That was referenced in our
and
group
here's
chat
the thing,
as well.
you don't turn down Ass Man plates. If you get something from the state of New York that says you're the ass man, guess what? You're the ass man. You're like,
Yeah,
well, that's what the universe is putting out there. I'm rolling with it.
I'm not getting behind you on this. I agree with Shar.
You wouldn't want Danielle driving around with 1A badge?
Well, I mean, it'd be kind
I think you're in the unique minority here.
Yeah, you are. You're being sarcastic.
It's very funny,
no
but
one
wants this permanently on their car.
And you said appreciate it. I think Shar probably appreciate it. It's funny. But they're not going to go as far as put it on their car. Come on, man.
Cowards.
Especially
every one of you. You need to put some whimsy in your life, and nothing puts whimsy in your life like some 1A badge for you.
So he says, oh, man, that was awesome. DMV employee is probably mid-50s female who looked pretty damn good for her age. There was an older man and older woman who I really did not want to draw. This is him returning the plates.
Yeah.
So he's at the DMV. He says, I said, good morning. We just received these, and my wife refuses to put them on her minivan, and I slide the plates across the counter. Gal behind the booth immediately bursts out laughing and says, oh, you think? She then pulls up the information on the screen and says, you're the second person to return these. They'll just cycle through until some teenage boy gets them and thinks it's awesome. See, that's you. She then motions to the gal in the next booth over and says, hey, you got to check this out. And that lady's face got deep red. No words. I ended the transaction by saying, thank you for making that situation as pleasant as possible. Second returned 1A vag for you. It will not be on Shar's minivan.
It's not as funny if it was like on like a Trans Am or some sort of white trash hillbilly mobile, but a nice like Chrysler Pacifica.
Yeah, I think they got the Toyota Sienna, if I'm not mistaken.
God.
That is funny. I mean, if you saw it out in the wild,
you would think it was on purpose, right?
You would laugh.
Wouldn't you think it was a vanity plate, not a random plate?
100%. Because I didn't know that. So is in Idaho, do they all have a space in them like that?
I guess. I don't know.
They have two, and then I don't know.
Or maybe that's a new configuration.
Ours have 3 space 3.
Right.
This one is 2 space 5.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah. Just magical. And that's what I'm saying. Every time someone saw it, that minivan and old Shar there had an opportunity to spread so much joy. And I'm disappointed that she's not willing to put that enjoyment out there into the world, because everyone would have enjoyed seeing the Sienna with 1A vag.
Well, apparently someday it will be somewhere in Idaho because it's back in circulation.
Yeah, she's right. Some teenage boy's going to love that.
I just want someone to get it and not realize what it is. Like I got a car recently on the way, like November or whatever. I did not look at my plates when I got them. Like they came in the mail and I put them on. I have no idea what my license plate is. Do you?
No, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean
I know it's not anything.
No,
it's not like big D for you.
No, but like I didn't look. I didn't look at my plates. I just took them out and I put the little sticker on it and put them on the back of my car, and away I go. So there is a possibility. If I were to receive 1A vag, I don't think I would have realized it until someone pointed it out. I think I would have just been driving around.
I'm trying to look now at funniest random license plates.
Yeah, because like
vanity's
a lot of them, like you'll get rejected. If you submitted 1A vag for you, it might get turned down.
It might get turned down. Same with 2A vag for you.
Yeah.
There's a kid in my high school who had a car that was 3 SUM and then like 3 numbers. So everyone's like, oh, the threesome car. People thought that was cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because there has to be a bunch of these. Oh, yeah.
Most of them are all personalized.
Yeah, it's like, I'm trying to think of, like you got to find ones that aren't, like you said, just random.
Well, there's probably not a lot of them out there because people won't.
Yeah.
They'll do what Shar did. And
This one's from, so I guess Kansas has 3 and 3, and this one is 420 space girl, GRL.
Okay.
Yeah, there's that.
Okay. Would you let your wife put that on the car?
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care what the license plate says, but I don't find 420 girl to be that funny. Like,
no,
you know,
just like, means she likes to smoke weed.
Like smoke weed. You're like, yeah, whatever.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention, Buckley.
As soon as I saw it, I thought it was something that you two particularly
and I love
enjoy.
that. You know, I love that this happens a lot on social media. People will be like, hey, I saw this and thought of you. And it's usually something childish,
Yes.
but also great. And that makes me happy when people do that.
Yeah.
That makes me happy to know that people think of us when certain things like this occur.
Yeah. It's way better that way. When you just, again, whimsy. And we appreciate that you think of us for those sorts of things.
So I've got a story about shaving, and your Netflix prices are about to go up again.
Oh, no.
What else do I have here?
Not for mine. Mine are included in my T-Mobile account. Although T-Mobile will probably sneak in 3 times the fees and I won't notice.
Well, we switched to Verizon recently. Remember we told you this? We were flirting with switching because my wife got pissed. And when she gets pissed,
you went to the store that smelled like weed, remember?
Yeah, that was what I found out later was that wasn't a, what do you call it, a carrier store?
Yeah, it was just one of the...
it was like a one-off?
Yeah, there's a difference between the actual like T-Mobile store and then someone that's like a
franchise, that carries T-Mobile.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went into one of those piddly Verizons. We were like, what is going on with Verizon? But then we realized, okay, we have to go to the downtown, like the main Verizon place.
Yeah.
And we got very good service in there, and we switched from, what were we? We were AT&T, and my wife got so livid because they kept raising our rates, which they do, until you call them on it. And then you call them on it, and they're like, well, we don't really know what the problem is, but it should be resolved soon. And that...
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that to Nurse Nice was not satisfactory.
That's not going to work.
She was like, dude, fix it now or I'm leaving. And they did not.
And so she's gone.
And she did leave. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, let's go. I've told her, I'm like, dude, this is fine. I support you. At the same time, you realize we're going to have this exact same problem with Verizon.
Everywhere
correct?
you go.
Yeah, they're no different.
They're all, and that's why no one cares, because they know that wherever you go, it's going to be crappy.
So we went in there. We had very good service, and we all got new phones. It was a pain in the ass. It took forever, but now, that was like before Christmas. They just raised our rates.
And now you're like, ah.
And she's pissed.
Yeah. Well.
She's like, well, all right, well, get on the horn with them and see what they say. I have a feeling I know what they're going to say.
It's why switching services, it's never worth it, because you'll just be right back. You will be. I switched to my home internet. I went to the T-Mobile home internet, which is just, it's not wired or whatever. Because of that, I was pissed at Comcast, and I didn't want to deal with it, and it was a great deal. Guess who's getting ready to go back? Me, because their internet sucks.
Well, you know what?
It's the least reliable thing ever, and I hate the fact that I'm going to have to go groveling back to call Comcast and be like, I'm going to need you to put my line back in my house.
Yeah. They've heard from you before.
Yeah, they know.
They know.
I want them to be like,
Mr. Sakanik, I see here you were quite rude the last time you called.
What was this talk about you kissing our ass and, never, Well,
one of the great laughs in our laugh montage, and that is you barrel laughing at me having to do that exact thing back at my old house with Comcast. I swore them off. I cut them off. I'm like, I'm out of here. And then I realized, oh, wait, there's no other carrier in my area.
You're back.
So I had to call them. And Suk laughed.
And I'm about to do it.
And you're about to do the exact same thing.
I had an ugly breakup with Comcast. I did. I was pissed. And I told Comcast what they could do. And the other option to the mobile internet, it is so bad. I may not have a choice. And I've been fighting it for like months, telling myself, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And everyone in my house is like, our internet sucks. There's only the 2 choices.
Why was I telling you about Verizon?
Netflix prices going up?
Netflix, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Going up.
Yep. Again. Next on The Fan.
The home of dirt and spray.
I'm dirt. Interesting to watch. They added another offensive lineman. This unquestionably.
1080 with Isaac and Souk is brought to you by Pub Beer, the official beer of Cheap Fun.
Double Sun Power!
It's not breaking news, dude.
What if it is breaking news? Dude.
Well, I have breaking news. I am now 3-0 in my TGL golf picks. I want to go 5-0. What does he say? The week's free.
I'd love to go 5-0.
I'd love to go 5. Anyway, we're already Buckley and I are already looking at next week's plays.
Have you actually placed a real bet?
No, I haven't.
I did
He
today.
did.
Today I put $5 on the team that Rob said was going to win because he was right the last 2 weeks, and they won.
Was it my Cohen boys, the New York whatever?
No, it was not.
They're terrible.
It was the Atlanta Drive with the smart, funny, witty name.
The New York team needs a new owner.
By the way, I looked up and apparently it's kind of a wide range. No one will say exactly how much, but they say those franchises to buy in was between $25 and $100 million.
Wow.
So.
Okay.
Which I find that's a pretty broad range. Like.
You narrowed that down a little bit?
Yeah, is it 25 or is it 100? And by the way, neither one of those things is a good investment, but whatever. You're Steve Cohen, like who cares
they
about
don't care.
$25 million?
Not to talk sports, but why are the Blazers up by 18?
They don't know the assignment, man.
I think it might be 22 now.
What the hell?
They don't know the assignment.
You know, there's a lot of people around here that are trying to fade them every game. thinking they pulled the shoot. Well, there's a 2-game win streak.
They were so fast. Well, and this is a big deal because, like I said, I think they're tied for the sixth worst record with the Nets. And again, the difference in the lottery between 6 and 7 is enormous. 7's where you fall off the cliff.
Someone tell Chance they're tanking. He don't care.
No, not Scoot, man. He going to that lake.
All right, so Netflix confirmed that it would be not raising prices.
That's raising prices.
No.
They're
adjusting their prices.
Adjusting upwards, I can only assume?
On most of its plans. Yes.
Well, on most, I saw all. Like, what do you mean? There's a plan where it's not increased?
They said that this was a shareholder letter where they said that the company will occasionally ask members to pay a little more so that we can reinvest to further improve Netflix.
Okay.
How do you feel Netflix is going, by the way?
I don't know. I don't pay for Netflix. It comes with my... It's free with my
T-Mobile.
with T-Mobile, so I don't pay for it. And I mean,
well, I'm not asking.
I watch it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm asking, what do you think of Netflix? Because I remember there was a time when we were on here saying Netflix. Like, I don't ever find anything good on Netflix.
Yeah,
I think they've kind of changed that a little bit. They've invested in a little bit more. What do you call it? Unique programming.
They've done some short miniseries, like whether it was like The Perfect Couple or The Gentleman and stuff like that that they've put out
This
there.
is good stuff.
Yeah.
There was one I watched the other day. I just finished it. What was it?
The one I'm waiting to start is American Prime.
Oh, that's the one I just
American
watched.
Prime Evil? Is
Yeah.
that what it's called?
Yeah, American
Apparently
Prime Evil.
It's real negative about the Mormons, so you know.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's quite violent as well.
It is definitely violent. It's the lands of Utah back when it was Thunderdome, and it was the Native Americans, the Mormons, and the settlers.
Yeah,
and they were all fighting.
When I was growing up in the church, those were some really like weird topics in church because a lot of bad stuff happened, and some people say that the Mormons were responsible for it, and of course the Mormons are like, no, we didn't have anything to do with it, and so that is a really ugly part of the church past, and so like this series deals with it, and of course now it's, you know.
Well, I have watched it, and I will tell you that it's worth a watch.
Okay.
It's good. It will keep your attention. I don't think it's groundbreaking by any means, but I did after it finishes, you of course go to the Google and you say, well, how much of that is true?
Yeah.
Because it's all over the place. So it's a lot of different.
On the Mountain Meadows massacre,
which is true.
That is true.
That did happen.
Yes.
And yes, they do blame the Mormons.
Yes.
For that. And
Mormons did commit it. It's just whether or not the church sanctioned it or whether it was a bunch of Mormons that just did it.
Yeah. So,
but I remember like Wednesday was a good show on there. I like that.
Squid Game 2.
Squid Game
just finished Squid Game 2.
Yeah. I know it's weird, but I am now of the point where I don't really care where the show is. If it's a good show, I'll find it.
No, I agree with that.
And so I
agree with that, but it just Netflix for a while lost me.
Mm-hmm.
I kept going over there. It's one of my main go-tos. Like, I cut the cord, right? So we're just streaming everything. and we do have like YouTube TVs, but I rarely scroll through YouTube TV channels. It used to be I'd scroll through channels back when I had cable, right? Now I scroll through apps. So I see what's on Apple TV.
Yeah.
I see what's on HBO Max. I see what's popped up on Netflix. And occasionally YouTube TV has a series I want to watch or whatever. So I'll always be going to Netflix to check and see what's new or if there's something that's interesting. And I would say that in the last year, it's grabbed me back, but it had a lull.
Yeah.
Where it was not offering much of anything.
Well, and they were taking hits because of it, because other apps were popping up. I have now relied, and I'm behind everyone, and that's okay. I just rely on the buzz.
Yeah.
When they're like, I recently got into Severance. And
Great show.
And
I'm watching that right now.
And this is how dumb I am.
That's a recommendation. By the way, I got to give a little credit. Ryan Buckley.
He was a Severance guy?
Well, I just started it partially because it's been on the list for a while, but there's a lot of buzz about the season 2 that just started.
So this is how far.
Well, wait a minute, hold on.
Okay.
I want to give credit to Buckley.
Yeah.
Because Buckley is very shy about recommending a show to me.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that I will shame him.
Yeah.
And judge him if it sucks.
Well, you do take
I will.
You do take your recommendations very
You
seriously.
take your recommendations seriously, and you watch a lot of TV, and you have a high standard for good TV.
That's right.
I'm hesitant to throw something out that might not meet the ROP standard.
So so what that has done is that when Buckley does give me a recommend, I'm like, okay, so I'm really going to give this a whirl. So I am about 6 episodes into the first season of
See, you're
Severance.
already ahead of me. I'm 5 episodes in.
And I tell you what, that is a good show.
Yeah.
I don't have any clue what's going on, as that's kind of the whole bit.
Yeah.
But it's great. So I wanted to give Buckley credit.
So I always wait until there's like some real chatter and buzz. So I really like Adam Scott, who's the star of that.
Severance is on Apple TV.
Apple TV. So I started seeing this buzz, and I was like, "Ooh, what's this show everyone's talking about?" I thought it was a brand new show. Turns out that Severance came out 3.5 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
I didn't realize it was that long, but it was more than a year that had been.
There was
away.
a 3-year gap between season 1 and season 2. So my dumbass, right? I watched an episode, so I'm like, oh God, I'm hooked. So I get like 5 episodes in, and I'm like, oh crap, we're coming to the end, and what am I gonna do? Are there gonna be a season 2? And then I'm like, oh wait, season 2 is already out. I'm like, huh? I had no idea. I thought it was.
We can watch season 2 now.
They're doing episode by episode.
So the first episode I think has been released, and the second one gets released this Friday.
They're doing every Friday. They're not doing them all at once.
Well, then I thought you said it was been out for 3.5 years.
No,
season 1.
Season 1 that you're watching.
Okay. So it took them forever to.
Yeah, season 1, and this is the problem with streaming shows, and this is true. A lot of times with streaming shows, they like you can get these huge gaps in between seasons.
Why? Because they spend so much money on it.
Yeah, they spend so much money, and there was an article recently said where the platforms realized this is a major problem that they need to address. That these big gaps are killing some of the momentum of these shows, and you don't know when they come back, and because they're so expensive and more big name actors in them, there's no guarantee when you get around to making it that it's the same buzz.
Well, I was pleasantly, and I mean probably more than pleasantly surprised that Christopher Walken is in it.
Yes.
He comes
I didn't
out
know
of
he was
nowhere.
going to be in it either, yeah.
He's amazing.
He comes out of nowhere in it, and he's fantastic.
And even though he's not really as central, John Turturro is great.
Yeah, he really is.
The two of them make that, because you guys are like, what?
Halfway through season 1,
through?
basically.
Episode 6.
Those two become kind of anchors for it, and I will tell you that the finale, the last one of season 9 or episode 9, whatever the final one, it's 9 or 10, is phenomenal. The crescendo of season 1 is amazing. One of the better shows I've seen for a while. My favorite show on TV, and same thing, it's coming back for season 3, but it may be 2 years. It's my favorite show on TV is Shrinking.
Yeah,
I
that's a good
love
show.
Shrinking, but now
It's funny.
I got to wait 2 more years for that to come back.
That's Harrison Ford.
And Jason Segel.
I love the what's her character's name?
Yeah, the mom. The
mom's a little much. She's funny, but no, the African American gal,
the black gal.
Gabby?
What's her name? Yeah, she's the one in the ad where she fills up the bathtub in the. She is fantastic in that show.
I love the relationships in that show. It's really good. May have cried there at the end of season 2.
Well, anyway,
May have got me.
Netflix is saying that their ad-supported tier will increase $1 from $6.99 to $7.99 per month. And the standard tier will go from $15.49 to $17.99.
Outrageous!
And if you have the premium tier, it will increase from $22.99 to $24.99.
Horse nears. Although people will complain, and then a month later they'll be completely they'll forget about it.
That's pretty spendy, though.
It is. Or get a streaming
it's
box.
getting up there.
Get a streaming box, and you get everything for free. One-time fee. Just saying.
The one-time fee is $6,000.
$270. $270. And no subscriptions, and you'll never need one, and you get everything. Just saying.
So I have a story for you about shaving.
Oh. I shave nearly every day.
You do, don't you?
I do.
That bald dome of yours. You see Sepp Straka shaved his head?
No.
You know who that is?
Straka?
Yeah.
Golfer.
He's the golfer, just won the American Express. Come on, man.
No. I don't care.
He took your advice.
Yeah.
He's young.
He had some bad.
And he said, look, I realized I was losing my hair, and I just decided to...
Brock Bowers?
He shaved it.
Straka?
Sepp Straka.
Well, Brock Bowers needs to talk to him.
Hey, he goes out and wins a golf tournament.
Yeah,
Scott Van Pelt always says, come on home.
Yeah,
come on
just
home,
come
brothers.
on.
Bring it on in.
All right, we'll get to that next, but first, Buck.
This is a Conference Championship Week edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by Smartline Home Design.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant, mixed plates like Grandma used to make. If your grandma were from the Big Island, Woodstock, Burnside, or Beaverton, online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on the Fan, the Blazers blowing out the Heat in South Beach. Just 4 minutes to go. Portland up 110-95. DeAndre dominating, leading the way with 22 points and 15 boards. He also has a couple assists and a steal. The Ohio State Buckeyes are college football champions. They're now the favorite to win it again next season at 4.5 to 1 odds. Texas and Oregon tied behind them at plus 650. They are followed by Georgia, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Alabama. In the NFL, the Chicago Bears introduced former Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their new head coach today. Elsewhere in the division, the Vikings and head coach Kevin O'Connell have agreed to a multi-year contract extension. In baseball, Mariners great Ichiro Suzuki, one of 3 voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame today, along with CeCe Sabathia and Billy Wagner. Ichiro just 1 vote shy of getting voted in unanimously. On the college hardwood tonight, the Oregon Ducks host Big Ten rival Washington at Matthew Knight Arena. Tip-off at 8, pregame coverage starting right here on The Fan at 7:30. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Hey, it's Suk from my friends at Vulcan Design and Construction. You've heard me talk about how they were able to transform my backyard into a true outdoor living space that I enjoy year-round. But you may not know that Vulcan can also get your home ready for the winter with top
stat.
Nick Silverthorne, 48-year-old man. He purchased a supermarket-owned brand razor from his local store.
So a piece of crap.
Yeah. When he got home, he used it for the first time. He says it cut both of his little cheeksies.
Okay.
He says he discovered that one of the razor blades was detached and believed that the razor was faulty. So instead of chalking his cuts up to experience, he decided to sue the manufacturer.
How do you prove that you didn't screw the razor? Like, I can just break the razor and be like, this is faulty?
And by the way, he looks exactly like you would think he would look.
Oh, yeah, I see him here.
And incredibly, he was awarded an out-of-court settlement.
Oh, my God.
This is from Wilkinson Sword, apparently one of the world's biggest razor makers.
I wonder if they, like, obviously
They must distribute to some of the big
distribute.
companies.
Let's see what they make.
He says, it was no ordinary cut. It sliced my skin. My cuts bled for over 20 minutes. I took action to protect others.
Oh, for God's sake.
As they may not be as lucky as me.
I love how they say that he bled for 20 minutes. Yeah, when you cut yourself shaving,
It bleeds a lot.
It bleeds a lot. It's your face.
And by the way, his cut does not look bad. It looks exactly like a cut.
A cut.
Now, he did let it stream, so it makes it look worse.
Yeah.
But it looks like a razor cut.
Well, I will say, exactly. Oh, my God. Nice photo, you D-bag.
Doesn't he look like Perry Farrell?
He does. It is. That is a tiny little nick that he let bleed down. Because I shave my head and I use a razor. And every now and then, if you get yourself good, dude, it on your head, it bleeds like a mother.
It won't stop.
No, I put a Band-Aid on it. And that's all that looks like a tiny nick that he has just let bleed down.
So he bought this for $3. It was a men's Advanced 3 razor. He was in London. When he unwrapped it and started shaving, he cut his face. He said, I started shaving on one side with one stroke and then another on the other side. I noticed after a few seconds that I'd started bleeding badly on my left cheek and then on my right-hand side as well. He said, unlike previous times where he had cut his face shaving like we all have, he says, this felt different.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt different. He's a part-time landscaper, by the way. So
yes.
My guess is what it felt different was I think I can make some money. And this is why I know these companies, it's just easier to give this dude a couple bucks because it wasn't a bunch. But that's what pisses me off is it just encourages more dumbasses like this to sue.
Well, I would like to stay. Have I lost you with him yet?
No, I'm intrigued.
You're still in?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, I said stop me when this story starts to, when the story starts to lose you in terms of, what I meant was, like, when it's like, oh, okay, this MFer.
Yeah, right now.
We've already done that?
Yeah, this guy
Okay,
is a
well, let me
loser.
throw in this little fact. So it sounds like the razor blade was not attached properly.
Sure.
That was a thing.
Okay.
And it cut his little face, whatever.
Yeah.
He said that it wasn't just an everyday nick or cut. It sliced into my skin. I've been shaving for 30 years. I've never had cuts like this. He then took pictures. He said his wounds took weeks to heal, leaving him with scars on his cheek.
No, it didn't.
And he said the trauma of being cut led him to having recurring nightmares for months.
I hate you. I absolutely hate this guy, and it pisses me off that they gave him $6,000.
Yeah, that's all he got was 6 Gs.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, they were
you know,
hurting you so bad. Oh, no.
6 Gs makes me not care. But if he got a lot more than that, I would be pissed.
That pisses me off. I would tell you, I had a run-in with a shaving company. I know we got a break, but I did not sue, but I did have an interesting run-in with a company that wanted me to endorse their products.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Right here on the fan?
Right here on the fan. A razor company.
Yeah.
Which will remain nameless, but
What?
Yeah, it was a thing.
Yeah. We'll be back to wrap it up next on the fan. Hey, sticking around for the Nash. We've got a little email. You guys like email? I have email. And let me tell you something. I was just reading it.
No, I don't like emails.
I don't think many people do.
No,
but I tell you what.
But this one.
For business purposes, emails around here, they're important. And I just got a hot off the presses email from the sales gal who's handling the Window Nation account. And she said, "Rop, rop, rop." And she put it in big caps and she made it urgent, urgent email. And she said, Window Nation has changed their offer for the rest of the month.
Ooh.
You need to know this. It starts today. Please tell me you read this and you get this information to disseminate to the people. And so instead of 50% off all window styles this month, and paying nothing with no interest for 2 full years, it is now 60% off all window styles and pay nothing with no interest for two years. So if you were a procrastinator and kept listening to me say 50% off, and you're like, nah, I don't know, your procrastination has just saved you another 10%. The time
But don't let it happen again.
is now. That's right. Don't let it happen again, says Buckley. 60% off all window styles. Pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. If you need new windows for your home, and you probably do, you're just in denial. So call Window Nation at 866-90NATION or schedule online at windownation.com. That can be for a free, no-obligation quote. Don't have to go through with it, but 60% off is a pretty damn good number. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com.
The home